The wind rustled through the green leaves. Sunlight spilled across the meadow. In an era where fantasy romance novels flourished, a girl knelt in the shade of a tree, quietly reading a book. The leaves stirred, and one drifted down. I once read a book called The Vow of the World Tree. It told the story of a couple who joined forces to overthrow a tyrant. They seized the throne, and of course, there was no shortage of sweet romance. There was also an insignificant side character. He was innocently executed after being caught in a political conspiracy. Her name was Lilith Lanoella. Poor little Lilith. And I've been reincarnated as her. Lilith trembled all over, unable to believe she had become a character in another world story. I don't care about making Lilith's family regret anything. A little girl stood in the shadows, looking up at the back of a man. Father, my wife died giving birth to you. Therefore, you are meaningless to me. I don't want some plot where the family regrets their actions. How could this be Lilith's fault? I also don't care about falling in love with Lilith's fiancé. A man held his face affectionately. I love you. I don't want some plot where the arrogant male lead regrets his actions. Goodbye to this marriage. Since I'm here, I'm going to live as I please. A suitcase sat on the table with a letter left beside it. Thank you for everything. I'm leaving. After running away from home, I entered the academy. Lilith's figure moved through a sea of books. From a young girl to a scholar. Freedom. My freedom. A badge engraved with heartfelt congratulations was pinned to her chest. Lilith gently sipped her hot tea. I thought studying desperately couldn't buy me freedom, but a scream shattered the tranquility. Dr. Noella, please, save the Empire. The leaves of the world tree have turned yellow. I told you, I only drink the purest morning dew and water. Dr. Noella, if the world tree dies, we will die too. Then let's die together. Let's all go extinct. Only you can save the Empire. Dr. Noella. Freedom, right? Freedom. Lilith carried her suitcase. Her steps hurried. Forget it. I don't care anymore. I have to get out of here. She bumped headfirst into a man's chest. Lilith looked up, somewhat at a loss. He turned his head, a hint of an awkward smile on his face. A trace of hurt flashed in the man's golden eyes. Where are you going? He tightly gripped the corner of her clothes. Without me? How did things turn out this way? Lilith stood under the tree, 2 buckets of rainwater beside her. She reached out and gently stroked the leaves. In the distance, scholars whispered, "Look, the leaves of the world tree are starting to regain their color." The scholars murmured among themselves. An expert is truly different. Does she have some secret recipe? A smile touched the corner of Lilith's lips. You could say there is a secret recipe, and that is to give me water. Lilith stood under the tree, her face full of displeasure, ordering me around all day like a child. The young leaves on the branch trembled. Didn't you hear me? I'm Festi. Lilith forced a stiff smile. But I've already been watering you all night. That little bit of water isn't even enough to feed a single leaf. Bring more. Lilith clasped her hands together, smiling with an innocent face. Then how about installing a water supply system here? That way, you can drink water whenever you want. I just need to mention it to the royal family, and they'll surely install it right away. The leaves withered instantly. Oh, fine. And then this poor little tree of mine will just wither and die. Lilith's face turned pale. The surrounding leaves began to fall. Then let's die together. The earth trembled. The palace shook. The world tree was withering. The scholars behind her panicked. This is an ominous sign. No, the continent, the world, is about to be destroyed. Lilith's fist trembled slightly. This is the story of the pitiful Lilith Lanoella. She just wanted to live a peaceful life. Tears streamed down Lilith's face. I'll go get water. The Empire has a history of 1,000 years on the continent. Based on the legend of the World Tree, the 4 great ducal families are the empires. Cornerstones. One of them, the Noella family. A maid held a baby, her face full of sorrow. This family welcomed its youngest daughter, Lilith Lanoella. However, the Duchess of Noella died during a difficult childbirth. In his grief over losing his beloved, the Duke regarded his youngest daughter as a bringer of misfortune. Little Lilith stood alone before her parents' portrait, her lonely figure reflected on the cold floor. She became the black sheep of the family. She lived out of everyone's sight, quietly, but in the end, she was embroiled in the political struggles of her fiancé's family and accused of causing the world tree to wither. Countless hands pointed at her. They judged her. In the end, she was burned to death in the flames. This was all there was about Lilith in the book. Lilith slammed the book shut, still shaken. Why did I have to be reincarnated as this pitiful side character? She rubbed her cheeks hard, trying to escape this absurd reality. So I must work desperately to escape this tragic fate. She took a step forward. Fiancé, Execution by fire. These words echoed in her mind. None of that has anything to do with me anymore. Lilith spread her arms in the light, a brilliant smile on her face. Because I studied desperately and earned my freedom, Lilith Lanoella, a transmigrator, doctor of horticulture, in a small town at the southernmost tip of the continent. She managed the empire's only horticultural research center. Lilith yawned as she walked down the hallway. Her colleagues greeted her. "Good morning, Dr. Noella. Even if I come to work in my pajamas, no one will blame me. This is true freedom." A blissful smile spread across Lilith's face. Leaving the Noella family at all costs was so worth it. A maid passed by from behind. "Good morning, Dr. Noella." Lilith jumped. "Genia, I told you not to scare me like that." The maid expressionlessly held up a clipboard. "I'm here to report your to-do list. Your salary won't pay itself, you know. Baron Keel has an appointment. His beloved tree has pests. The Southern Noble Women's Association has ordered 100 flower beds. Count Borja requests an urgent house call. His precious tree is in terrible condition." Lilith leaned back lazily in her chair. "What? Tell him to make an appointment like everyone else. Doesn't he know how long the waiting list is?" The maid leaned in and whispered in her ear. "He has promised to pay a huge sum of gold coins." Lilith's eyes sharpened instantly. "Start the preparations immediately." Next, Viscount Chelsea says that with your help, he successfully cultivated a plant. He will come to thank you in person soon. We were very successful. We should indulge in luxury. He doesn't need to come in person. Genia, you handle it." Lilith leisurely sipped her tea. The maid stood by, her expression calm. "I already knew you'd say that. You're such a strange person." Lilith blinked. "What did I do?" The maid held her clipboard, her tone flat. "Even though you know the nobles send gifts to curry favor with you, you always turn them away. I told you not to call me that. If you love money so much, why do you never accept gifts other than your service fee?" Lilith slammed her teacup down, splashing tea. "Genia, remind me, why did I enter the academy at the age of 12? The maid tapped her chin thoughtfully. "To leave your family and become independent." A light shone in Lilith's eyes. "That's right. According to imperial law, those who obtain a degree are granted rights unrestricted by family or age." The maid's face was blank. "Here we go again." Lilith's fists clenched. "That's why I studied like my life depended on it. Within 6 years, I obtained my bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees in horticulture. It was all for my freedom." The maid clapped expressionlessly. "Yes, yes. And you specifically chose horticulture because the nobles aren't interested in it." Lilith slumped in her chair. "You understand me best, my most trusted assistant." The maid's gaze was unwavering. "You've repeated that so many times, even a dog could memorize it." Lilith tapped her foot. "Anyway, I hate it when those nobles come to thank me." She rested her hands behind her head, looking content. "I plan to live a long and humble life on my meager service fees. To avoid an early death, I immediately broke off my engagement. I built my research center in the countryside, far from the imperial palace. All that's left now is to enjoy a peaceful and comfortable life." The maid's voice broke the silence. "Sorry to interrupt your daydream, but there's one last letter. Like I said, handle it yourself." "I can't. It's from the imperial palace." Lilith violently spat out her tea. She choked and coughed. "The imperial palace? They sent me a letter? Why?" The maid handed her the letter, her expression calm. "You'll have to read the contents yourself, Dr. Noella." The letter was unfolded. A line of text seared her eyes. "Urgent recruitment, palace gardener." The letter promised an astonishingly high success fee, to be paid based on merit. The contents of the letter were strictly confidential. Any leaker's entire family would be executed. Lilith and the maid were both terrified. "I didn't see anything." The maid whispered from behind her, "Dr. Noella, I didn't see anything either." Lilith strode towards the door. "I have to write a letter of refusal immediately." "No, I should just return the letter directly to the palace. But the post office is probably closed." "Why is it always closed whenever I need to go?" Lilith turned around. "Whatever. I'll just send it by courier." "Genia, prepare the horse." Lilith's words were cut short. A figure blocked the doorway. "Lilith, long time no see." He smiled slightly. "What a coincidence. I was just coming to pick you up. If you're heading out, let me accompany you." The door was slammed shut. Lilith's heart pounded wildly. I didn't see wrong, did I? The decisive factor that led to Lilith's early death. The fiancé whose engagement I broke off in order to survive. Adrian de Alxiv. Lilith let out a terrified scream. What will our poor Lilith Lanoella do now? Lilith stood at the door, looking at the uninvited guest outside. Adrian stood in the sunlight. "You finally came out, Lilith." He slowly approached, took Lilith's hand, and placed a gentle kiss on her knuckles. "I almost thought you were avoiding me." Adrian de Alxiv, lord of the Alkshed family, commander of the Imperial Guard and the Empress's younger brother. Lilith forced herself to remain calm. How would I dare to avoid you, Your Grace? You are a hero of the Empire. You're too kind. He was also Lilith's husband in the original novel. In other words, he was a walking time bomb. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. Lilith forced a smile. What brings a person as noble as you to the countryside? Adrian's hand rested on the doorframe. I came to pick you up and ensure you arrive safely at the Imperial Palace. He leaned in closer. Be careful not to hit the door. Lilith's heart pounded. This man. Lilith screamed in terror. The Imperial Palace? Why would I go to a place like that? Academy personnel have nothing to do with royal affairs. Adrian mused. Oh, you didn't receive the letter? Lilith quickly hid the letter behind her back. I didn't. Adrian chuckled. Don't worry. We've already made arrangements for the research center. The chief gardener of the palace will take over here while you're away. Lilith blinked in confusion. Wait, if they have a chief gardener, why did they send me that urgent letter? Adrian's gaze sharpened. So you did read the letter. Lilith slapped a hand over her mouth. I'm done for. Adrian's smile deepened. The maids behind him covered their faces in despair. Sigh, Dr. Noella. In the end, Lilith still got into his carriage. The carriage jolted along the country road. Adrian sat opposite her, laughing softly. Lilith hung her head. I'm completely done for. I tried so hard to stay away from the palace. She sighed. I didn't even get a chance to refuse. At least my most trusted assistant, Jenia, came along. She agreed to accompany me, tempted by double her salary. Lilith looked at Jenia beside her, only to find she was already leaning against the carriage wall, fast asleep and snoring lightly. Lilith's heart skipped a beat. She subconsciously clutched her chest. It's come to this. I can't let my guard down. Her eyes were firm as she gave a solemn nod. I must maintain the highest level of alertness at all times. This is to protect the world tree, and also to protect the ending of this novel. It was a dark story of court intrigue. A tyrant, incompetent yet power-hungry. He harbored a strong sense of inferiority towards his own family, the male lead Kairos, and the male lead's fiancée, Edna. So he tried to have them executed for treason. But just like in all fantasy romance stories, but the protagonist survived to the end, seized the throne, and became the new emperor and empress. That was basically the plot of the novel's first part. After that, the protagonist's political struggle against the remaining factions began. And it was precisely at that time that Lilith was framed as the culprit who killed the world tree. She was brutally killed. The scenery flew by outside the carriage window. Fortunately, the current point in time is long before the protagonist sees the throne. This means I still have time to avoid the death ending from the original story. Lilith let out a long sigh of relief. Pull yourself together. Adrian's voice came from across from her. You've been sighing a lot, Lilith. Lilith looked up at him. Going to the palace was one thing. But Adrian's excessive enthusiasm made me even more uneasy. He asked with concern, is the carriage too bumpy? I can turn on the stabilizer. Or are you cold? Should I turn on the heater? I also prepared snacks for you. Lilith felt a wave of awkwardness. Why is he like an anxious puppy? Shouldn't the Adrian in the novel be colder? Lilith replied, "Unguardly. I'm fine. Actually, there's something I want to ask you. What's the real reason the palace is looking for a gardener?" Adrian pondered for a moment. Lilith watched him nervously, although I knew the trip to the palace was unavoidable after receiving the letter. Adrian was bathed in a soft glow. He smiled and said, "It's because of the world tree." Lilith was taken aback. What? Beside her, Jenia was sound asleep, letting out soft snores. Lilith repeated in a low voice, "The world tree." She looked at him in disbelief. You're talking about the world tree? The first creation of the god of the beginning? The transcendent being that connects the entire continent? A tree formed from the crystallization of ancient magic? Lilith's mind raced. That's also the other decisive factor that leads to my death. But the contents of the letter were truly suspicious. An urgent recruitment for a palace gardener with an absurdly high reward. The letter was written in a hurry and seemed to have a hidden purpose. Adrian answered affirmatively. Exactly right. Lilith's brain instantly exploded. Death factor plus another death factor equals absolute death. She forced a stiff smile. Aren't mages or priests supposed to be in charge of looking after the world tree? Lilith spread her hands. Why do you need me? Adrian explained. They've already tried everything, but nothing worked. So they need your help, the Empire's youngest doctor of horticulture. Lilith clutched her head in despair. Damn it, why did I have to become the youngest doctor? Adrian soothed her. It's just a formality. No need to be nervous. Lilith replied weakly. Okay, A glint appeared in Adrian's eyes. During your time at the palace, I will be your personal guard. I will always be by your side and will never let you feel any discomfort. You don't have to worry about anything. Lilith's smile froze on her face. You're the one I'm most worried about. The magnificent imperial palace appeared in the sunlight. We've arrived, Lilith. Lilith stepped out of the carriage. Her feet touched solid ground. I'm really here. Adrian extended a hand to help her down. A green leaf drifted down. Lilith looked up, her gaze following the falling leaf. A brilliant light reflected in Lilith's blue eyes. So this is the world tree. It stood in the center of the meadow, with lush branches and leaves exuding a sacred aura. No wonder it's the novel's mascot. It's simply ethereal and magnificent. Lilith walked forward and crouched down. Is it a broadleaf tree? Besides the leaves being a bit dry, I don't see any problems. Could be root rot. Lilith reached out and gently tugged on a leaf on the tree. Ouch, that hurts. You bastard. How dare you mess with me? Want me to destroy you, bastard? Lilith's face was one of pure shock. A voice came from deep within the canopy. Want me to destroy you, bastard? Lilith's long pink hair floated in the wind. She snapped her head up. What the hell? The tree is talking. Adrian's voice sounded beside her. Lilith, what's wrong? She quickly turned around. No, it's nothing. I must have misheard. The tree's voice sounded again. Hey, you with the pink hair. Yes, you. How dare you ignore me? Who do you think you are? Maybe I didn't mishear. And it's so damn loud. But Adrian, he didn't seem to hear it at all. Adrian was bathed in light, a gentle smile on his face. Lilith, no, he can't hear it. Lilith turned to Adrian beside her. Excuse me, have you been the one looking after the world tree until now? Just as Adrian was about to answer, a voice interrupted him. We heard you were looking for us. Your Grace, the Duke. 3 men walked up. Adrian introduced them. They're the ones responsible for maintaining the world tree, experts in their respective fields. You flatter us, Your Grace. The man in the lead bowed. He turned to Lilith. You must be the young lady of the Noella family. It's an honor to meet you. I am Lemic of the Magic Tower. I've heard rumors about you. Lilith responded, a pleasure to meet you. I am Lilith Lanoella. Lilith raised an eyebrow. What do you mean by rumors? Lemic's eyes lit up. You don't know? You're very famous in the palace, especially among scholars. You chose a commoner's field and climbed to the top without your family's help. You even left high society in pursuit of knowledge and went to the countryside. You were simply. Lemic excitedly clenched his fists, his eyes fervent. The perfect scholar. He leaned closer to Lilith, talking nonstop. You came to the capital for research, didn't you? It's a rare opportunity to see the world tree up close. If possible, could you sign my thesis? This persona is not what I expected. More importantly, he's completely misunderstood me. Lilith forced a smile. Pursuit of knowledge? I don't care about that at all. I only wanted one thing. To escape my terrible family and that war. I hid within the safe walls of the academy. My God, was there a war in the empire? And I chose horticulture simply because I wanted to walk an easy path with no competition. Lemic was still starry-eyed, but Lilith felt a wave of embarrassment. Suddenly, Adrian's hand grabbed Lemic's wrist. His voice was cold. Lilith, didn't you have something to ask them? Adrian's gaze was full of warning. Lemic's hand froze in midair. Oh, Lilith stroked a leaf. You see this leaf, right? It's a vibrant gold as always. Is there a problem? Lemic asked. You just said the problem yourself. It's turned yellow. Lemic looked confused, but we all call it golden. Lilith was just as puzzled, but it's clearly yellow. So it turned yellow. I mean gold. What's the problem with it turning gold? Lemic stammered. There are many problems, but let's start with the basics. Lilith's hand patted the ground. This extremely dry soil worries me. She looked up at Lemic. How often do you water the world tree? Lemic replied, about 2 or 3 times a year. Lilith's pupil shrank. 2 or 3 times a year, not a week? And what about the amount of water? The amount you give it each time, is it as much as a swimming pool? We only pour a bowl of holy water. Lilith's anger flared. No wonder the tree is like this. Go get water. I saw a lake nearby. Lemic shrieked, Lake water? We wouldn't dare give the world tree that filthy water. Lilith was about to lose her mind. A normal tree would have died long ago. We also need to prune it. Go quickly. Wait a minute, Miss Lilith. The priest also looked at her in horror. Pear pruning. Are you saying you want to cut off the world tree's branches? No, it's arms and legs, Miss Lilith. This is sacrilege. You absolutely cannot do that. I am your most loyal fan, but pruning the world tree is absolutely out of the question. Lemic waved his arms. Lilith sighed deeply. Really? I'm telling you I can save the world tree, and all you do is spout nonsense. Are you the doctors of horticulture? Have you studied it? Lemic and another expert flinched. Mississippi Lilith finally exploded. Go get me the damn water. Now! Lemic shrieked in terror. Yes. Yes, miss. All right, we'll allow you to water it, but absolutely no pruning. Do you understand? Adrian also spoke up. Lilith, I'll help too. Which idiot wrote this nonsensical thesis? The answer was herself. Lilith rubbed her temples. I developed a bad habit of losing my temper during my PhD, but there's nothing to be done. The cause of my death is right in front of me. How could I possibly stay calm? Hey, I know you can hear me. Why are you ignoring me? Answer me. She set up a ladder and began to climb, step by step. First, Lilith said as she took off her gloves, let's save this half-dead tree. I absolutely cannot die earlier because of this tree. She took a pair of ornate shears from her basket, their blades glinting coldly. Not on my watch. Lilith held up the shears, a confident smile on her face. All right, let's get to work. A wooden bucket landed heavily. Oh God, my back. This is too heavy. I was wondering what that amazing person Lemek was talking about was really like, but I really can't work with her anymore. She actually wants to give the world tree filthy water and even prune it. It's absurd. If something goes wrong, we'll be executed along with her. Lemek pointed to the top of the tree and shouted, that's not the point. Look, another expert squinted. I'm nearsighted. I can't see what it is. There's a person. Wait, a person. Miss Lilith, what are you doing up there? What is she holding? Lemek's voice trembled. A pair of giant shears glinted in the sunlight. Lilith brought them down with a snip. Snip! Impossible! A withered branch fell. Miss Lilith! Lemek and the others let out blood-curdling screams. Capital, Imperial Guard Barracks. Night enveloped the ancient castle. After that, ignoring the caretakers who were about to faint, Lilith wiped the sweat from her brow, letting out a long breath. I've done everything I needed to do. Considering what I've done, the palace probably won't keep me any longer. I'd better get ready to be sent back south. Lilith walked into the hall. A voice sounded. Have you just arrived? Lilith turned to look at the person who had spoken. Your Grace. Lilith saw Adrian. Thank you for helping me carry the lake water. And thank you for letting me stay in the barracks. Don't mention it. Adrian smiled. I'm happy I could help. You should get some rest, Lilith. You too, Your Grace. But, were you waiting for me at my door, just now? Adrian turned around. Oh, didn't I tell you? I moved my room next to yours. I came out when I heard your footsteps. What Lilith is horrified. I was originally thinking of knocking down the wall to combine our rooms into one. But that might be a bit too much for you right now, right? Lilith forces a smile. Yes, it's too much. He lets go of her hand, turns, and leaves. Good night. Lilith the door closes softly, leaving Lilith alone. This guy, how can he always say such terrifying things with a smile? He wants to tear down the wall. His way of doing things really annoys me. Wait, Your Grace the Duke. Lilith, why is he being so nice to me? Aren't we? Let's talk about annulling our engagement. Lilith looks around the magnificent room. The room is beautiful. Adrian sits across from her. I'm glad you like it. This is your room. I put a lot of thought into it. He lifts the teapot, and amber-colored tea pours into the cup. Adrian's gaze is gentle. If you don't like it, just let me know anytime. We can change rooms. He hands the teacup to Lilith. Lilith takes the teacup. He's being so nice to me, even pouring my tea himself. How could I possibly complain? Adrian folds his hands. So, Lilith, what did you want to talk to me about? Lilith is startled, nearly dropping her teacup. Lilith forces a smile. Oh, about that. He lowers his gaze, his thoughts drifting. He looks at the starry sky outside the window. To be frank, Your Grace, I don't quite understand why you're being so nice to me. Her fingers nervously rub the teacup. I mean, she was engaged to Adrian, completely following her family's wishes, just like in the original story. But when I realized I had transmigrated into the novel, everything changed. First step, open the window and let the cold winter wind pour into the room. Second step, soak in a cold bathtub. I did all this to make Lilith's already frail body even worse. I'm sorry things turn out this way. Being unable to bear an heir is a serious problem. It can't be helped. Miss Lilith must be very sad. Please comfort her well. Lilith lies in bed, breathing rapidly. She tremblingly opens a letter. Finally, on the paper, the large words, farewell to marriage. Lilith weeps with joy, clutching the letter, annulling the engagement. I thought after the annulment, we would go back to being strangers. But he's still treating me like his fiancée. It's very confusing. Adrian looks as if it's a matter of course. I don't understand why you're asking. It's obvious. Because I am your fiancé. Lilith in disbelief. Fiancé. Adrian confirms. Yes, fiancé. 6 years ago, I swore that as long as I live, I will always belong to you. So I want you to stay by my side and accept only the best. Lilith slams the teacup on the table. What are you talking about? She stands up excitedly, her eyes wide. We already annulled our engagement. Lilith quickly covers her mouth. Crap, I got carried away. She quickly sits down. Sorry, I was just a little shocked. Adrian looks at her calmly. It's all right. This has been bothering me ever since we reunited. But it seems you really didn't know. Lilith looks confused. Didn't know? About what? Adrian speaks slowly. I wasn't able to submit our engagement annulment application. To the court. Lilith's expression freezes. So that's how it is. Her mind races. So Adrian knew about the annulment. Wait, what did he say? So our annulment application just got lost somewhere? Then what does that make our engagement? A smile plays on Adrian's lips. Therefore, our engagement is still valid. Lilith the night is deep outside the window. Adrian's voice sounds. On the day our families agreed to annul the engagement, I wasn't aware of it. When I heard about it, I went to see my father, the Duke of Alkshed, but he had already gotten your signature. That was the first time I ever got angry at my father. They say a child can always win against their parents. So, my father gave me the annulment application. He told me to think carefully, thought about what was the best choice for the family. I regret what happened that day at the Little Now, because not long after, the tyrant Lazar started a war. I didn't know that would be the last time I saw my father. Adrian's gaze returns to Lilith, and because of that, I ultimately failed to submit the annulment application to the court. Lilith is beyond shocked. I thought I had escaped a war from the original story, but that war ended up being the reason my engagement wasn't annulled. Adrian is silent for a moment. I'm sorry. I've upset you by talking about this. Lilith comes to her senses. No, please continue. Adrian lowers his gaze. In any case, I'm glad I could see you and talk like this. He continues. For a while, the tyrant's army was in hot pursuit. I couldn't get near you, but I was determined to return the final decision about the engagement to you. So I took a risk and went to the academy to find you. Lilith asks blankly, you came to the academy? I don't remember. Adrian recalls. It was probably during the winter 4 years ago. There was a huge blizzard that day. I remember it clearly. That day, I met the maid who came to the Imperial Palace with you. Her. Adrian's expression becomes complicated. She slammed the door in my face and said you were busy with your studies. I couldn't even see you, let alone get a letter to you. Impossible. Fragments of memory surface. The maid's voice sounds. Miss, there's a visitor for you. Lilith is slumped over her desk, an exhausted figure. Just handle it yourself. I'm just a useless idiot. The maid bows her head. Yes, I'll send him away. Lilith's thoughts return to the present. She can't believe it. I actually turned away someone who risked his life in a blizzard to see me. Lilith looks up, her eyes filled with guilt. Your Grace, I know it's too late, but I'm sorry. Adrian's pupils contract slightly. He's a bit surprised. I mean, if I said I wasn't upset at all. Adrian's hand covers Lilith's, but that's all in the past. Don't worry. Lilith hesitates. But Adrian's gaze is gentle and firm. Lilith, I believe the future is more important. Adrian's hand slips from hers. It's getting late. You should rest. We'll continue this conversation next time. Lilith suddenly grabs his sleeve. Wait. Adrian turns back. Lilith? Lilith musters her courage. I don't want to sleep tonight. An uproar in the Imperial Palace. Your Majesty, Miss Lilith's actions are blasphemous. You must banish that heretic. Driving her out of the capital isn't enough. We must expel her from the entire empire. A cool pen scratches on paper. Suddenly, with a snap, the nib of the pen breaks. Edna sighs. I'm busy enough as it is, and you all won't stop chattering about Lilith. The ministers bow their heads in fear. Our deepest apologies, Your Majesty. Your Majesty. Edna runs a hand through her red hair in annoyance. Can't you just not do things that require an apology in the first place? She takes a deep breath. So, what exactly did Miss Lilith do? So, you're saying that because of Miss Lilith's blasphemous act, the World Tree has a problem? A minister gestures excitedly. That's right, Your Majesty. She dared to water the World Tree and even pruned its branches. Edna's thoughts drift to the past. This is why I didn't want to touch the World Tree's guardian, but my foolish little brother. Adrian suddenly appears beside her. Sister, I know the perfect person to take care of the World Tree. Sister, are you listening? The Empire's most brilliant horticulture doctor, Lilith Lanoella. What do you think? Adrian's eyes sparkle. Oh, you're finally looking at me. Edna snaps out of her memory with a cold snort. He really annoys me to death, begging me with those puppy dog eyes. Disgusting. A minister suddenly points into the distance. Your Majesty, look over there. Edna's eyes widen. Wait, what? The sacred World Tree. A golden light bursts from the World Tree, shooting up to the clouds. The light is too dazzling. The minister shields his eyes with his hand. It became more divine in a single day. It's even starting to glow. Edna squints in disbelief. Wait, am I dreaming? The world tree is actually glowing. Edna stares at the tree, the golden light reflected in her pupils. Was it like this when the previous guardians were here? No. Back then, the world tree seemed to be slowly withering. Edna turns around. Where's Miss Lilith now? The minister replies, I heard she will be staying at the Royal Guard barracks. Edna gives an order. Quick, bring her to me at once. Be as polite as possible. The sooner, the better. Adrian turns to look at Lilith. Lilith. Adrian's expression is a bit dazed. Did you mean what you just said? Lilith has a bright smile on her face. Of course. Why isn't he happy? I didn't say anything offensive, did I? Adrian, I don't want to sleep tonight, but the words came out wrong. Lilith looks at him, a hint of nervousness on her face. My wording might have been poor, but I grabbed him to make him dislike me, to push the wedding date as far away as possible. Adrian offers a small smile. You must be tired. It's best if you go rest now. Wait, Your Grace, Lilith says hurriedly. Adrian turns around. You really don't want to sleep that much? Lilith is flustered by his question. She takes a deep breath. It's like this. I have a favor to ask. Lilith looks at him. Can you keep my visit to the capital a secret? Lilith adds, especially. Her hand tightens on her skirt. Not for my family. Adrian smiles slightly. Of course. Lilith is a little surprised. You're not going to ask why? Adrian's gaze is gentle. My sister taught me that ladies always have many secrets. She takes a step forward. I know it's strange to ask for a reward for keeping a secret, but Lilith. Adrian takes Lilith's hand. Lilith looks up in confusion. Your Grace. He leans down and gently kisses the back of her hand. Lilith's cheeks burn. Her heart races out of control. Adrian raises his eyes. Lilith, could you do me a favor then? Anything I can do, Lilith answers instinctively. Adrian's gaze deepens. In fact, this is something only you can do. Recently, the power of the shadows has begun to rise again. Lilith's pupils contract sharply. The shadows? According to the novel, 1,000 years ago, the Shadow Clan had their homeland taken by the Alkshed family. Since then, they have considered the Alkshed family their mortal enemies. The Shadow Clan is a group of people with red pupils. Adrian continues. The current leader of the Shadows is rumored to be cruel and tyrannical, so we've increased our patrols. If any suspicious people try to talk to you, ignore them and come straight to me. Lilith lowers her gaze. Getting involved with them won't do me any good. After all, I'm only the Duke of Alkshed's fiancé in name. She looks up at the night sky outside the window. All right. Adrian's brow furrows. I just told Lilith about the shadows. A hand grips the hilt of a sword tightly. A blonde knight looks around the hallway. Strange. I heard she moved to the second floor, but all the doors look the same. I can't tell which room is hers. A dark figure flashes past behind him. Where on earth is the commander? The knight is startled. Commander. Adrian appears, the tip of his sword pointed at the blonde knight's neck. Jeffrey, what are you doing here? Jeffrey's eyes widen in terror. Before that, could you please put down the sword? Since you've already confirmed my identity. Adrian's sword doesn't move an inch. Tell me, why are you loitering in front of Lilith's door at this hour? Jeffrey quickly explains. This? You know that Four Eyes from the Magic Tower? He said the Empress has an urgent summons for Miss Lilith. Adrian turns his head to the side. My sister? Did something happen to Lilith? Adrian roars. Even so, what are you doing coming to Lilith's room? Now, go run 100 laps around the training ground. Jeffrey flees in disarray. I was just doing my job. The next day, Edna sits at her desk. I was looking for you last night, but my brother insisted I not send anyone, saying you were too tired from your long journey. I heard from the officials what you did to the World Tree. Is that right? Lilith stiffens. Don't panic, Lilith. Lilith's voice trembles slightly. It's like this. Her hands, resting on her lap, are twisted together so tightly her knuckles have turned white. You knew this would happen. Lilith forces a smile, but her eyes are empty and terrified. But can I really get out of here alive? Miss Lilith, your actions yesterday caused quite a commotion. First, Edna de Alkshed La Solaria, the Empress. She has fiery red hair and eyes that shine like molten gold. Her unparalleled beauty makes all else pale in comparison. She perfectly fits the description of the original novel's female lead. Edna speaks. Would you care to explain your actions? I'm quite sure you're aware you've committed blasphemy, but the novel also described her personality as explosive and harsh, someone even the Emperor couldn't control. Lilith thinks to herself. More importantly, A small, leafy thing peeks out from Lilith's pocket, making a faint sound. With a thud, the little thing falls heavily onto the desk. Lilith is secretly alarmed. What is this leafy ball? It's been following me all morning. Miss Lilith? Lilith quickly speaks up. About that. Lilith looks up. Yes, I admit my actions yesterday were blasphemous. She takes a deep breath, her gaze firm. But I have no regrets. Edna's gaze turns cold. You don't regret it? Lilith looks directly at her. Yes, Your Majesty is the Emperor. Your Majesty personally appointed me, a horticulture expert, to look after the world tree. Lilith's tone is firm and resonant. As a horticulturist, how could I turn a blind eye to a dying tree? My pride and honor would never allow it. Edna's gaze is sharp as a knife. So, you admit to the blasphemy. Lilith forces a stiff smile. As an expert, I believe it was my duty to do everything I could. But even so, Miss Lilith, there are some lines that must not be crossed. I am willing to accept any punishment from you, Your Majesty. Edna leans back, crossing her arms over her chest. The usual punishment is expulsion from the palace. But your words just now, Edna's fingers tap lightly on the desk, that have made me decide to give you a chance to atone. She pushes a letter toward Lilith. The details are in here. Read it and sign. Please forgive me, Lilith requests in a low voice. She shudders. What? A chance for self-redemption? Although it's not a formal punishment, you still need to take responsibility according to the law. Take a look at this contract first. Ask if you have any questions. Lilith takes the parchment. Lilith lowers her gaze. I know I have no room to refuse. But, Your Majesty, the contract reads, since the founding of the empire by the first emperor, the world tree has not bloomed for 1,000 years. Therefore, Miss Lilith is hereby requested to help the world tree bloom. Lilith looks up in disbelief. Bloom? You want me to help the world tree bloom? It hasn't bloomed in over 1,000 years. Edna's smile is meaningful. Is there a problem? Lilith's gaze returns to the contract. As long as I can make the world tree bloom, I can commit any act of blasphemy. But if I refuse, fail to complete the task, or leak the contents of the contract, Lilith's face instantly turns pale. My entire family will be executed. Edna's voice is cold. According to imperial law, blasphemy is an extremely serious crime, but I will give you a chance to prove your worth. I went at great lengths to get the guardians of the world tree to agree to these terms. For you, this may just be a grace period to prevent the execution of you and your family. Edna smiles slightly, but I'm not too worried. She folds her hands. I'm sure you can make the world tree bloom. Lilith stares at the contract in horror. Are you crazy? Are you serious? In the end, Lilith signs the contract. She stumbles out of the room. Adrian's report was too biased. I couldn't be bothered to listen to it. Edna watches Lilith's retreating back, a smile playing on her lips. But she really is unusual. Footsteps approach. Edna, anything interesting happen? Your Majesty. Edna looks at him. I think we found someone you'll be very interested in. Kairos asks, at least tell me which family he's from. Edna refuses. No, Miss Lilith, I'll have to keep an eye on you. Lilith walks with difficulty across the grass. That thing keeps following me. It's driving me crazy. Please, don't tell me this leafy ball is that damned world tree. Lilith wants to cry, but has no tears. It's the only explanation. Is it because I roughly pruned its branches that it came after me? Lilith screams at the sky. Why does nothing in my life ever go right? I'm sick of it. The sound of arguing. The world tree's branches sway in the sunlight. You can hear me, right? Or are you just going to keep staring at me? Give me water. Lilith's anger flares. How can you be so arrogant? She grabs a bucket. Lilith, with all her strength, throws a bucket of water at the trunk. It's all your fault. Lilith holds the empty bucket, trembling with anger. Water drips down her clothes. The world tree's branches rustle. So cold. Another splash of water. Oh wait, that feels pretty good. Another splash. Now that's more like it. A moment later, Lilith collapses onto the grass. She pants heavily. So, I have to keep doing this until the world tree blooms? She sits under the tree and sighs deeply. I should just be grateful I wasn't executed on the spot. Lilith speaks to the trunk. Hey you. The world tree is silent. Lilith raises her voice. What's wrong? Why are you mute now that I'm talking to you? The leaves rustle. What? Are you talking to me? Lilith retorts irritably. Is there anyone else here? The branches flicker with light. You finally acknowledge me. Lilith is speechless. I really should have just kept ignoring it. Are you really the world tree? The leaves rustle again. You can talk to ordinary trees, too. However, You can't talk to other people. As long as I have enough magical power, I'm omnipotent. How dare a mere mortal question my deity? Lilith's eyes light up. If magical power is what it needs, then I'll give it water. So, with enough magical power, can you bloom? The world tree's branches rustle. Why are you asking? Hope glimmers in Lilith's eyes. The world tree's voice holds a hint of hesitation. Maybe. That was a terrible lie. Lilith looks deflated. Oh, for heaven's sake. I guess it's hopeless. The world tree's tone becomes imperious. How unreasonable. Go fetch this great one some more water. Inside the palace, a voice echoes through the grand architecture. You lost the shadow again? Adrian's face is hidden in the shadows. How dare you raise your heads? Get on the ground. Two guards immediately prostrate themselves. See, Commander, we were wrong. Lilith is in the capital right now. He covers half his face with his hand, a complex emotion flashing in his eyes. She's the only one. A fragment of memory surfaces. At a magnificent ball, Lilith smiles and holds out her hand to him. Your hand. She looks at his palm and says softly, I can tell you've been working very hard. Adrian's thoughts churn. She didn't care about my title or appearance. She only saw the real me, saw my efforts. Her words back then saved me. Now it's my turn to protect her. I must make her feel safest by my side. Adrian stands in the middle of the room. If you can't even catch a few rebels. A knock on the door. Adrian turns around. A woman's voice comes from the doorway. Excuse me, Duke Alkshed. Lilith peeks out from behind the door, her bright blue eyes shining with anticipation. May I have a moment of your time? Lilith. He turns and looks Lilith over. What happened to you? Lilith touches her damp hair with one hand, forcing an awkward smile. Haha. Adrian quickly takes off his own coat. He steps forward, drapes the coat over Lilith's shoulders, and wraps her in. Not his arms. Lilith is stunned by the sudden action, her eyes wide. How did you get so wet? Lilith lowers her gaze. Well, about that. A loud noise. Cold water pours down on her head. Lilith is soaked to the bone, water dripping from the ends of her hair. She is speechless. The world tree's branches shake violently. Water, water. Lilith stands under the tree, looking impatient. Haven't I been giving you water this whole time? That's not even a sip. I'm dying of thirst. Lilith covers her ears, unable to take it anymore. All right, I'll get you some more. Honestly, she walks toward the bucket. Out of curiosity, let me ask, why are you so obsessed with water? The world tree's branches glisten in the sun. Don't you just need magical power? You're the world tree, a transcendent being. Crystal clear water droplets cling to the leaves. The wind blows, making the leaves sway gently. The world tree's branches tremble slightly. I didn't want to talk about this. You're such a troublesome gardener. A thin branch extends, as if pointing an accusing finger. Listen here, I'm a doctor, okay? The world tree's voice echoes in the void. I'm a tree formed from divine power. No matter what my soul is made of, my body is ultimately just a tree. So you understand now, you vulgar gardener? Lilith's blue eyes are filled with confusion. All right, Lilith turns away, a look of disdain on her face. Divine power my foot. Don't think you can fool me with those flashy special effects. The world tree's leaves rustle. What the hell? I thought you were a doctor. What does that have to do with anything? The world tree complains. This is the problem with you academic types. To be honest, I was dying of thirst before I met you. My branches and roots were all dried up, yet humans kept praising me. I was going crazy. They even hailed me as a sacred object. Lilith listens with a blank expression, feeling nothing. A stream of nonsense. The world tree's voice grows more agitated. How is watering me once or twice a day enough? Trees have thoughts and feelings too. This is tree abuse. You lowly humans dared to abuse me, this sacred tree. I was waiting for death in my slumber, and then you woke me up. Now you have to take care of me. A leaf flutters down, and lands on Lilith's head. She grits her teeth. Lilith clutches Adrian's coat tightly. Who would have thought the legendary world tree would be so chatty even while spiritually dead? I'll probably die of exhaustion before I can satisfy that damned plant. Adrian looks at her. Lilith. Lilith looks up. I want to get water for the world tree and accidentally tripped. Oh no, are you hurt? Adrian's lips curved slightly into a gentle smile. If you can't move the water bucket, perhaps I can help you. Lilith immediately responded, Oh, I was just about to ask Jeffrey for help. Adrian's smile froze. Jeffrey? My assistant? Lilith looked as if it were a matter of course. Yes. Could you call him for me? A clap of thunder roared in Adrian's heart. The pressure around him suddenly dropped. The soft clink of a teacup being set down broke the silence. Adrian handed her a cup of hot tea. This should warm you up. Lilith held the teacup and took a small sip. The atmosphere was a bit awkward. For some reason, Adrian seems a little down today. It's making me uncomfortable. I must have interrupted your training. If you're busy, should I come back later? Adrian picked up his teacup. I was just a little surprised. That's all. That you would ask Jeffrey for help. I didn't know you two were that close. Adrian's cheeks flushed red. About that, I met Jeffrey on my first day in the capital. He said at the time. In her memory, Jeffrey was smiling cheerfully. I am Jeffrey, assistant to the Duke of Alkshed. If you ever need help moving heavy things, that you can call me anytime. Lilith looked at Adrian, and I happen to need help with exactly that. Adrian's voice was low and firm, but I'm stronger than him. Lilith responded with a deadpan expression. Oh, that's nice. Adrian's gaze darkened, staring intently at her. Lilith grumbled internally. He doesn't want a better reason, does he? Is he really going to pull rank over something so trivial? Lilith cleared her throat. Actually, it's like this. I need someone to help me collect rainwater. Rainwater? What do you need that for? That picky bastard of a tree insists on drinking rainwater. It's driving me crazy. He clasped his hands together, a brilliant smile on his face. Rainwater is rich in nitrogen, oxygen, and minerals, and it's free of salt, which is very beneficial for plant growth. The pH and ion concentration are also just right. It's great for the world tree's nutrition. Lilith cleared her throat. Anyway, I didn't want to bother you with such a small matter. Her cheeks flushed red, and the tips of her ears grew hot. Lilith's blue eyes widened slightly. Adrian covered his face with one hand, his body trembling slightly. Adrian's fingers gently brushed his lower lip, revealing a hint of a sly smile. I think I misunderstood. Lilith looked at him, confused. Misunderstood? Adrian's voice was low and powerful. But next time, please come to me, not Jeffrey. As long as it concerns you, nothing is a small matter. Adrian's cheeks were still flushed. He folded his hands, hiding the smile on his lips. Lilith shivered slightly. This wasn't the first time, but Adrian really is handsome. He truly lives up to his reputation as the idol of high society. Lilith sighed to herself. Adrian also elegantly lifted his teacup. No, get a grip. He's the man who will kill me. Lilith shook her head violently, trying to shake off those inappropriate thoughts. Her heart protested wildly in her chest. But it's not my fault when such a handsome man is right in front of me. Whispers came from outside the door. Did you see that just now? Yeah, I saw it. The Duke smiled shyly. A few guards were gathered at the door, discussing in low voices. I've been a royal guard for 5 years. This is the first time I've ever seen him smile. He smiled again. I'm so scared. A young guard approached Jeffrey. Sir Jeffrey, is it really that strange when the Duke smiles? Jeffrey put his arm around the new recruit's shoulder. Hey, rookie, do you know the Duke's nickname? The recruit's voice trembled slightly. You mean the demon bastard from the lowest level of hell? No, there are worse ones. Because of rating restrictions, we have to censor them. Jeffrey looked mysterious. And yet, that very man. Adrian's smile was gentle and bright. Besides the rainwater, is there anything else I can help with? Lilith's eyes lit up. Oh, I was planning to go into town tomorrow. Then let me carry your bags. Jeffrey's voice came from outside the door. In front of Miss Lilith, he becomes a docile puppy. Adrian smiled gently. Let's go together. Jeffrey poked his head in with an excited look. Are we about to see a good show? After Lilith left, Adrian's face instantly darkened. Jeffrey stood before him, submissive. Why are you only targeting me? Oomph. Outside the mansion, the sun was shining brightly. Ginnia followed behind Lilith. You're going into town with the Duke of Alkshed? Ginnia pressed on. But didn't you say you were going to ask Sir Jeffrey to accompany you? Lilith forced a stiff smile. Yes, but in her memory, Adrian was smiling gently. That something came up. Ginnia patted Lilith's shoulder comfortingly. Oh, what a shame. Since the Duke is accompanying you, you won't need me, right? Lilith's face was shrouded in shadow, looking haggard. Ginnia suddenly spoke up. Oh, right. Ginnia reached out and pinched. Thought a small floating thing. What is this? It's flying around like a little pest. The little thing with leaves struggled between her fingers, letting out a sharp cry. It fell from the world tree. Maybe it's a pixie or a sprite. The two of them leaned in, curiously poking the little thing. That's not very scientific of you. I know. Can you watch him for me? Make sure he doesn't leave my room. Ginnia took the little thing. I'll take my leave. Yes, my lady. Have a pleasant trip, my lady. Lilith turned around, a smile on her face. She stepped forward and walked straight into a solid chest. Lilith covered her nose and staggered backward. What the? A hand firmly steadied her. Adrian looked down at her. Oh my, are you all right? He asked with concern. I think your nose is a little red. Lilith was stung by the light from his fingertips. Ah, my eyes. I'm Euphina. Adrian withdrew his hand. Thank goodness. Then let's go. Lilith responded in a low voice. All right. The two of them walked out of the mansion side by side. A magnificent carriage was already waiting. The wheels clattered softly on the stone road. The carriage entered the bustling streets. Lilith looked out the window. Wow. Is this the capital? I've been in the South for the past few years. I had no idea the capital had developed so quickly. It's completely different from my childhood memories. Who would have thought there was a war not long ago? The main characters really worked hard. Adrian looked at her. A smile played on his lips. Lilith looked out the window. I was originally planning to get things over with quickly because of the shadows. But since the city is so peaceful, maybe I should look around a bit more. Adrian looked at her. If you like the city that much, how about we come once a week? I'll be your escort. Lilith immediately refused. No, I'm fine. I'm also busy taking care of the world tree. She forced a smile, but her heart was on high alert. So what if the city is peaceful? I only have one mission here, and that's to avoid this death trap right in front of me. Adrian nodded slightly. All right. Lilith cleared her throat. Besides, I'm going back to Bingen as soon as I'm done. Adrian's smile vanished instantly, like an abandoned puppy. All right. Silence filled the carriage. We'll be heading back soon. Nothing should go wrong, right? The carriage stopped in front of a shop. The shopkeeper greeted them enthusiastically. My goodness, what an honor to have such esteemed guests in my shop. Although I deal in high-end goods, this is the first time a noble lady has come to buy them herself. Lilith cut him off impatiently. Have you prepared the items on the list? The shopkeeper adjusted his glasses and looked at the list. Oh my. These are all professional tools. Are you planning on doing some gardening? But the items on the list aren't enough. This season, you'll also need nutrients and fertilizer. Lilith wore a perfect fake smile, but internally, she was on the verge of collapse. I wish I could just die right now. A typical know-it-all, always trying to act like he knows everything. The shopkeeper raised a finger smugly. Don't worry, my lady. I'll make a supplementary list for your flower arrangement hobby. Lilith sighed to herself. I thought these kinds of people only existed in academia. I'm not planting flowers. Just give me what I asked for. The shopkeeper continued to ramble on. Oh, come now, a noble lady like yourself. Surely you're interested in these lovely little flowers? Lilith's smile stiffened. These are for a tree. Adrian watched him with a blank expression. With a loud bang, Adrian's fist slammed onto the table. The shopkeeper flinched in fright. Adrian's face was cast in shadow. How long are you going to blather on? Under his fist, the tabletop cracked, forming several fissures. Adrian's voice was bone-chillingly cold. Are you always this talkative? Not knowing when to shut up will only get you killed faster. The shopkeeper was scared out of his wits, breaking out in a cold sweat. He spoke with a tremor. Please forgive me. My God, at this rate, he's really going to kill the shopkeeper. Lilith hurriedly grabbed his sleeve. That's enough. She looked up and said softly, stop. Ed. Adrian's anger instantly subsided, his gaze turning to her. It's true that it's unusual for a noble to do their own gardening. It's normal for him to be surprised. I'm already used to this kind of treatment. It's all right. She had a gentle smile on her face. Adrian remained silent and nodded slightly. Lilith turned to the shopkeeper. Causing a scene here won't do us any good. Please prepare the items. The shopkeeper, as if granted amnesty, nodded repeatedly. Oh, I'll ring you up right away. Lilith watched Adrian's back, sighing in relief. That was close. Adrian turned and strode heavily out of the shop. Lilith followed behind Adrian. Maybe I spoke too soon. After leaving the shop, Adrian had been sullen. Lilith jogged to keep up. Damn it, my legs are still no match for yours. Duke of Alkshed. Wait for me. Adrian stopped abruptly. He turned around. Why are you calling me Duke of Alkshed again? Lilith was taken aback. What? Adrian's gaze was scorching. Can't you call me what you called me in the shop? Lilith's mind flashed back to a moment ago in the shop. Ed. Adrian's cheeks instantly turned bright red. He raised a hand to cover his mouth. You're driving me crazy. Lilith trembled all over. He's angry. Is it because I used his nickname without permission? She quickly explained, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have called you Ed without your permission. We were in an unfamiliar shop, and we didn't have any guards with us. I couldn't just openly shout the name of the Empire's hero, especially when the shadows are still at large. I was thinking of your safety. Adrian's golden eyes widened slightly. For my safety? His heart skipped. About a beat. Lilith continued. If that nickname makes you uncomfortable, I won't use it again. Adrian leaned in close to Lily. Lilith's pupils contracted sharply. His large figure loomed over her. Adrian's voice was low and dangerous. Are you testing my patience? You should know, I never miss an opportunity. Adrian's cheeks were flushed. He called out softly, Lily. I like it. A sound interrupted him. A giant bear poked its head out from the bushes, its red eyes glinting menacingly. Like who? Adrian turned around, stunned. Huh? A shirtless, strange man appeared behind the bear, the sunlight outlining his muscular physique. What are you two doing here? Lilith's mind went blank. Bel, Lilith's brother, Bellanoella, a man who raises a bear. Sunlight streamed through the restaurant's glass windows, falling on the empty tables and chairs. Lilith sat at a table. I really didn't expect to run into my brother here. Bell was shirtless, his muscles well-defined. He pointed at the menu. From here to here, I'll have everything. Lilith was speechless. Bell scratched his head. Sorry, Jason and I have been too busy training. We haven't eaten in days. Also, it's been a long time, Your Grace the Duke. Adrian and Bell bowed at the same time. Adrian spoke first. No need to be so formal. Just like before is fine. Bell straightened up. I can't do that. You're a duke now. Bell looked at Lilith. Lily, it's been a while since we've seen each other too. Lilith replied, yes. How have you been? Bell answered with a smile. As you can see, a low growl came from outside the window, making Lilith jump. Behind the window pane, the giant bear Jason's face was pressed against the glass, drool dripping from the corner of its mouth. He added with a blissful expression, my cute little Jason and I are doing great. Lilith's face was blank. Little? A chaotic scene flashed through her mind of Bell and the bear, causing trouble everywhere. Bell hasn't changed at all. Bell's gaze fell on Lilith. You look much better than you did a few years ago. Lilith froze on the spot. Bell continued, this is the first time we've seen each other since you left home for your studies, right? Lilith's thoughts drifted to the past. About Bell. After I left home at 12, I lost contact with him. I don't really have any feelings for him. But the maid's whispers still echoed in her ears. If the young lady hadn't been born, the Duchess wouldn't have died. Yes, how unfortunate. Miss Lilith's birthday and the anniversary of Duchess Noella's death are the same day. And after the Duchess passed, the Duke never left the mansion again. A young Lilith stood in the dark hallway, listening to those words, her hands under her skirt quietly clenching into fists. Lilith forced a smile. Yes, I've been doing pretty well lately. Bell picked up a piece of bread. As long as you're happy, that's all that matters. But I didn't know you were back in the capital. If you had written ahead, I would have come to pick you up. Lilith replied, thank you, but I only just returned recently myself. Bell put down his fork. How long are you staying? I haven't heard anything from father. Do you have a place to stay? Lilith answered, oh, I'm staying at the Duke of Alkshed's, in the Imperial Guard barracks. Adrian suddenly cleared his throat loudly. Ahem. Ed, Lilith looked at him, puzzled. Your Grace? You just. Adrian secretly reached out and tugged on Lilith's sleeve. Lilith was looking at him with a confused expression. He averted his gaze, his expression returning to normal. The Duke of Alkshed. Adrian tugged her sleeve again. Ahem. Id, what's going on? Is he trying to tell me to be careful what I call him in public? Lilith turned her head. Ed and I are staying at the palace. Only then did Adrian let go of her sleeve, a smile on his face. Bel nodded. Knowing you're staying with the Duke, I'm relieved, but his tone changed. There's something I've been meaning to ask. Lilith looked at him. What is it? Bell's gaze shifted between the two of them. Didn't you two already cancel your engagement? Is it really okay for you to be living together like this? Adrian and Lilith both froze. The atmosphere froze. Lilith was the first to speak. Oh, about that. There was a problem when the documents were submitted, so the engagement was never officially canceled. Really? But I haven't heard anything from father. A loud crash came from outside. The giant bear Jason smashed through the window and burst in. The restaurant erupted into chaos. The patrons panicked. My goodness, Your Grace. Do something. Bell stood up and rushed out. Jason, sorry. I'll ask father about it later. Lilith and Adrian sat quietly, silence blanketing the table. Lilith spoke softly. My brother can be a bit dramatic sometimes. Sorry. Should we leave now too? Adrian asked hesitantly. You really haven't heard anything? Lilith looked confused. Ed. Adrian's gaze was lowered, his voice steady. Your father, Duke Noella. He knows everything. He knows our engagement was never canceled, and he's known for a long time. Light streamed through the tall, arched windows, casting long shadows in the empty hall. Lilith walked alone down the dim corridor, her footsteps echoing emptily. Come to think of it, but it's not surprising. Lilith's biological father, Vincent Lenuela Solaria, the head of the judiciary. It's not strange that he knows everything. He's also the leader of the intelligence agency, the Emperor's Ear. Lilith pushed open a heavy door, which creaked loudly. In the original story, Father used his position to blind the tyrant Lazar and extended a helping hand to Adrian, who was part of the resistance at the time. He did so because he foresaw that Adrian would eventually hold great power. Considering all this, it's impossible that Father didn't know the engagement annulment document was lost. A cold smile touched Lilith's lips. Father simply chose, once again, what was most advantageous for the family. If he could establish a connection with the Alkshed family, selling me off would be far more beneficial to my father than this. In that case, besides avoiding Lilith's tragic end, I must also thwart my father's plans. I have to completely dissolve my engagement with Adrian. Lilith pondered. Even magic can't make the world tree bloom. What should I do? She shook her head, stopping the negative thoughts. I'll rest for now and figure something out after the tools I bought today arrive. A knock sounded at the door. Lilith looked up, alert. Lilith's heart stirred. Had the tools arrived already? She pulled the door open with a creak. Adrian was standing at the door. On the floor was a large, brilliant bouquet of yellow daisies. Lilith was stunned. Ed. Adrian had a slight smile on his lips, his eyes looking at her gently. She looked up at Adrian. It's so late. What are you doing here? Wait. Adrian's cheeks flushed, and his heart skipped a beat. Lilith narrowed her eyes. Are you spying on me? Adrian immediately denied it. What? Of course not. But I always seem to run into you here. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. It's like this. Adrian fully presented the bouquet to Lilith. The daisies shone in the light. Tajda. Lilith looked down at the flowers. Flowers? She held the brilliant bouquet of daisies. What's this for? Adrian's gaze was soft. You seemed a little down at the restaurant earlier. I was worried. You looked very disappointed about something. Lilith's eyelids drooped slightly. Adrian smiled warmly. It's nothing special, but I hope they can cheer you up a little. Lilith raised her eyes. I thought I hid it well. She buried her face in the bouquet. I didn't think Ed would notice. Adrian looked at Lilith, his eyes gentle. Also, I have some news for you. He took out a golden letter. My sister invites you to this year's Florian. The wax seal on the envelope was a striking, bright red. Lilith's pupils dilated slightly. Oh, it's time. This is the first event to happen in the second part of the World Tree's promise. Florian, an important spring party hosted by Empress Solaria, is the biggest event at the Royal Palace after the Harvest Festival. This year's party is hosted by the novel's heroine, Edna. Lilith's thoughts raced. Edna is the perfect, unshakable empress. But at the first Florian party she hosted, something happened that began to tarnish her reputation. A disaster that disgraced her in front of everyone. Adrian's voice pulled Lilith from her thoughts. I heard you don't like crowded places, so if you don't want to go. Lilith shook her head, a glint in her eyes. The Empress herself invited me. Of course, I must attend in my finest attire. Lilith looked up at him. More importantly, Duke of Alkshed, I've been away from the capital for too long and don't know any gentlemen here. Would you be my partner for that day? Adrian's cheeks instantly turned the color of a red yam. He bowed slightly. Of course, I was just about to ask you the same thing. The two looked at each other and smiled, the atmosphere warm. Really? That's wonderful. Well then, Lilith, you should get some rest. Lilith nodded. You too, Your Grace. The door closed softly. Lilith leaned against it. Adrian has the authority to carry out his own missions without approval from his superiors. She hugged the bouquet, a smile playing on her lips. If we move together, things will be much easier to handle. A crescent moon hung high in the sky. A cloaked figure looked down on the city below. Another figure approached quietly. Leader, how is the plan progressing? Everything is going smoothly. The cloaked figure turned slowly. 1,000 years ago, it was Conrad who named us the Shadows. He reached out his hand as if to strangle the city below. He forced our ancestors to live in persecution. And the Alksheds who betrayed the Holy Alliance. The eyes under the cloak glowed red. He clenched his fist tightly. Very good. The cloaked figure turned, his cape whipping in the wind. It's time to act. The day before the party. It's been a week since I became the guardian of the World Tree. Lilith struggled to lift a bucket of water. This chore is never-ending. She violently splashed the water onto the world tree. Cool water droplets scattered everywhere. So refreshing. Lilith collapsed on ground. I am exhausted. I need to get the engagement annulment process quickly and then go back south. A voice came from above. Hey, slacking off already? Lilith kept her eyes closed. But before that, she revealed a sly smile. I'm clocking out early today. What? Why? Lilith responded to the voice. The Empress sent me to check on the flowers for the banquet hall. Aren't you a horticulturist? Why are you doing a florist's job? Lilith leaned against a tree trunk. You're right. But to be personally summoned by the Empress to participate in such an important event is truly the greatest honor of my career. Of course, she probably just wants to protect my reputation. Anyway, I'm just letting you know. So, how long are you planning on leaving me alone this time? Lilith stopped in her tracks. I'll be back tomorrow. There's still a lot of work here. Liar. Lilith was startled. Where did that voice come from? Have you been lied to your whole life? A seed-like creature appeared out of thin air, letting out a cheerful cry. He hopped around Lilith, finally jumping onto her skirt. Right, it was this leaf ball. Lilith held him in her palm. Instead of finding time to blame me, you should pay more attention to this little one. Leaving the job of taking care of him entirely to me? He must miss his parents. Parents? Whose parents? Lilith looked at the leaf ball on her shoulder. This little one's, of course. The tender leaf on the leaf ball's head swayed gently. What did you say? How could I be his parent? I've never had a child like this. Lilith pointed at the tender leaf on the leaf ball's head. But anyone can see. He has the same golden broadleaves as you. The world tree's voice sounded again. I am no ordinary tree. I cannot reproduce. Even if you were to plant my seed, it would not grow. The world tree shimmered under the sunlight. I am a unique existence in this world. Lilith looked at the pointy-headed leaf ball. Oh my God, so the world tree is infertile. Wait, doesn't that mean? Her pupils suddenly contracted. I'm this leaf ball's mother. Genia isn't here now. There's no one to look after this little one. What should I do? Lilith fell into deep thought, looking at the world tree beside her. The great tree remained silent. What? Wait. The world tree's voice sounded again, with a hint of an unquestionable tone. Are you asking me to be a nanny? On the day of the Florian party, the magnificent palace was bathed in sunlight. Edna glared at two attendants. What is this? I specifically instructed that a wide passageway be left clear. The attendants trembled in fear. Your Majesty, please spare us. Geoffrey stood to the side, a playful smile on his lips. She's even harsher than usual today. I hope her anger doesn't turn on Lilith. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed through the hall. Lilith ran, holding up her skirt. Oh no, I'm late. That damn tyrannical world tree. He actually made me work until the very last moment. He's willing to let me go take care of the leaf ball. Edna and Geoffrey looked toward the entrance. Lilith bowed deeply. Lilith Lanuela offers her highest respects to Her Majesty the Empress. Edna looked down at her in silence. Geoffrey's expression instantly turned grave. This isn't good. A smile spread across Edna's face, as brilliant as the sun. Welcome. Was your journey smooth? Geoffrey watched them. So they really are like sisters. The banquet hall was magnificent, filled with blooming flowers, awaiting the arrival of the guests. Lilith's gaze was drawn to the flowers. These are all rare species of flowers, seldom seen in the Empire. Edna smiled and led the way. I knew you would recognize them at a glance. To create an exotic atmosphere, I specially imported these flowers from the southern continent. And besides, Edna turned her head, her eyes shining with pride. I put even more effort into the decorations for the main banquet hall. Lilith's gaze went past Edna toward the glittering grand hall. Lilith asked softly, Your Majesty, what are those flowers? A sea of golden flowers came into view. Edna's voice sounded. They're called flamina. They're the main feature of this party. Found it. Lilith's eyes fixed on the flamina flowers. Edna noticed her strange behavior. What is it? Is there a problem? Lilith turned and bowed deeply to Edna. Forgive my impertinence, Your Majesty, but please dispose of all the flamina immediately. That was the first spring after Edna became Empress. She had given her all just to gain recognition. The Florian party was a success. The guests clutched their throats in pain. Ugh, I can't breathe. One by one, they collapsed, and the banquet instantly turned into a hellscape, until a guest from the Duchy of Caravaggio began to convulse. The victims were limited to nobles from duchies in conflict with the empire. Everyone else was unharmed. So, naturally, Edna was suspected of being the culprit. However, the real culprits were the shadows. They bribed an importer to bring the flamina into the palace. The empress had merely walked into their trap. The nobles whispered among themselves. How dare she ask her majesty to destroy the decorations she worked so hard on? And the party is less than a day away. Edna frowned. What are you talking about? Dispose of all the flamina? Lilith's eyes were firm. I can't just say I know the original plot. I have to find another excuse. Flamina is dangerous. It could be used as a poison. Edna's gaze sharpened. A poison? She turned to the person behind her. You come here. A man hurried forward, looking nervous. He was the importer. The man held a bouquet of flamina, speaking with trepidation. With all due respect, Your Majesty, flamina is not poisonous. They are very common at festivals on the southern continent. Some people even consume them. I think Miss Lilith must be mistaken. Lilith insisted. Flamina is used as a poison. The importer flew into a rage. Utter nonsense. A poison? Are you trying to slander an innocent merchant? Lilith's voice turned cold. Do you truly believe flamina is not poisonous? The importer's words caught in his throat, and cold sweat beaded on his forehead. He suddenly grabbed a handful of flowers and stuffed them into his mouth, chewing vigorously. Petals stuck to his teeth. He swallowed. He looked at Lilith triumphantly. See, if it were really poisonous, would I eat it? Or were you trying to get executed? Even if you're young and ignorant. She lifted her head, her gaze as cold as ice. In the religious ceremonies of the Caravaggio Duchy, a pollen called Aurelia is used. A light flashed in Lilith's eyes. They carry this flower with them, even applying it to their bodies, considering it a sacred object. Etna whispered in confusion. Aurelia? Lilith continued to explain. Aurelia is a non-toxic flower that grows on the northern continent. The same is true for flamina from the southern continent. But when the scents of these two flowers meet, they create a deadly poison. The importer shrieked. Utter nonsense. His face was contorted. I've never heard of such a thing. Lilith's gaze was icy. The toxin causes difficulty breathing, and in severe cases, can even be fatal. The Duchess of Caravaggio has a pre-existing lung condition. This would be fatal for her. Edna's pupils contracted. People might even mistakenly believe you were trying to sabotage relations with Caravaggio. The importer, enraged and embarrassed, shouted, Nonsense! I've never heard of such a thing. Lilith was expressionless. Are you sure? The importer's face instantly flushed red. Raven, the man who, in the original story, drove Lilith to a dead end. Lilith's thoughts raced. I absolutely cannot let this person, who is connected to Raven, get away. She held up a small vial. Now, swallow this. The importer looked at her in horror. What is this? It's Aurelia pollen. He was even more shocked. You. How do you have this? Lilith uncorked the vial. During my academy days, a classmate from Caravaggio gave it to me as a good luck charm. She tapped the bottom of the vial, pouring the powder onto her own hand. Of course, I never thought I'd use it like this. Without hesitation, she put the Aurelia pollen into her mouth. Lilith's expression was calm. I can't taste anything. Just as I said, Aurelia itself is not poisonous. She held the vial out to the importer. Come on, swallow it. The importer stared intently at the vial, beads of sweat rolling down his face. If I swallow this, it will react with the flamina in my body. I'll be poisoned to death. But he glanced fearfully at Edna. If I don't swallow it, it proves I already knew that these two flowers are poisonous together. The importer trembled, his jaw clenched tight. The importer's face contorted, and he shrieked in desperation. Either way, it's a dead end. I'll take you down with me. He brandished a knife and lunged at Lilith. Seeing this, Adrian leaped out, kicking the door open with a bang. He tackled the importer in one move. Adrian looked at Lilith, still shaken. Lilith. The importer was pinned firmly beneath him, the dagger clattering to the floor. The importer struggled frantically. Let me go. Lilith's pupils constricted, her heart pounding like a drum. That scared me. A knight rushed forward. Commander. Adrian's voice was icy. Take this bastard away immediately. Find out who's behind him. The knight saluted sharply. Yes, sir. The guards hauled the importer up. He was still screaming futilely. Let me go. I don't know anything. Adrian turned and strode quickly toward Lilith, his tone filled with urgency. Lilith, are you all right? Are you hurt? Lilith answered softly. I'm Euphine. Adrian gasped. He grabbed Lilith's arm abruptly. Lilith, you must leave here at once. You just ate Aurelia pollen. Lilith paused for a moment. Oh, he must have overheard our conversation. He's worried I inhaled the flamina pollen in the air. Lilith looked at him. It's all right. The powder I ate was fake, just in case. I didn't want to harm an innocent person, so I just tested him with a potion I carry with me. Lilith held up a small vial containing a clear liquid. Lilith smiled faintly. I needed a plausible explanation, so I lied and said it was a gift from a classmate. It seems to have worked well. Adrian gazed at her, his cheeks flushing slightly. Lily, you're truly amazing. Lilith felt a bit awkward. No, I'm not. It was just a simple test. Anyone could have thought of it. Adrian took her hand, his tone firm. No, you solved this. Lilith felt a twinge of embarrassment. Is it necessary to praise me so much? It's so embarrassing. She inadvertently glanced into the distance, and Edna's figure came into view. Now Edna won't have her reputation damaged by this incident. The guest from Caravaggio will also be safe. Lilith breathed a sigh of relief. She felt the gears of fate turning because of her for the first time. I'm finally starting to change my destiny. Was I too nervous? Lilith suddenly felt a wave of dizziness. Her hands clasped tightly to her chest. Or is it that this weak body couldn't handle the shock from before? Why? Why am I so weak? Lilith felt her body go limp. Her body swayed, and she fell backward. Adrian, with quick reflexes, caught her in his arms. Lilith's consciousness sank into darkness. In the darkness, stars twinkled, and a faint sound could be heard. BBI. Lilith's eyelashes fluttered, and she slowly opened her eyes. A small thing with 2 tender leaves on its head was right in front of her face. BBI, BBI. Lilith woke with a start. Leaf ball? Didn't I leave him with the world tree? How'd he get here? A knock came from outside the door. Knock, knock. Adrian looked down at her. How are you feeling? Lilith pressed the leaf ball tightly under her. I'm fine. I must have fainted. She swallowed nervously. He must not find out. Absolutely not. Adrian was silent, his gaze deep. He spoke softly. I'm sorry. Lily, Lilith looked up. Why are you apologizing to me? Adrian's voice was low. I failed to protect you. I'm just sorry for everything. As your fiancé, I should have protected you better. Lilith propped herself up, her tone a little helpless. Don't be silly. I just fainted for being too nervous. But I'm really fine now. Adrian's hands quietly clenched in a fist at his sides, tight with self-reproach. He forced a smile. You must be tired. Please get some rest. Lilith looked at him. Thank you, Your Grace. Adrian turned, and the door creaked softly. He left the room. A maid stood by the door, watching his departing back with a worried expression. The maid hurried to the bedside. Dr. Noella, are you feeling all right? Lilith replied. I'm perfectly fine. The maid sighed in relief. After you fainted, that leaf ball was very worried. It stayed by your side the whole time. It didn't leave your side for a moment. Lilith hugged the leaf ball. Really? The maid continued. Since yesterday, Duke Adrian has been very worried about you. He came over as soon as you woke up. Adrian was worried about me? Impossible. The Adrian in the book was cold and distant to his wife. Their marriage was just a loveless exchange of benefits. Would a man like that worry about me? Lilith's gaze sharpened. Absolutely not. The maid continued. The Empress even sent the court physician. Lilith, that was stunned. What? She sent her personal physician for someone like me? Lilith was silent. I don't believe she's genuinely concerned about me. So what's her reason? Lilith stroked the leaf ball. Wait, could it be that she wants to confirm if I'm really sick? It's highly possible. Edna values the Alkshed family above all else. If she believes I can't continue the Alkshed bloodline, she will gladly accept my request to break off the engagement. Very well, then I'll proceed with my plan. At the end of the hallway, sunlight streamed through a massive, arched window. The court physician reported to Adrian. Miss Lilith was just frightened. There's nothing seriously wrong with her. Adrian asked with a blank expression. Really? The physician bowed. Yes, Your Grace. However, I recommend she rest for a while. I will prescribe some medicine to calm her nerves. He walked into his room, slamming the door shut with a bang. I brought her to the Imperial Palace to keep her safe. Yet, not only did I fail to protect her, I almost let her die right in front of me. He clenched his fist violently. The back of his hand was bruised. What on earth am I doing? A knight entered the room. Commander. Adrian didn't look up, his voice devoid of any warmth. Has that bastard talked? The knight reported with a bow. Not yet. However, we're certain the Shadow Organization is involved. Adrian spoke slowly. Then make him talk. He spun around abruptly, his cloak flaring. I'll go see him. Adrian lifted his head, his gaze like blades of ice. That's right. What I need to do is eliminate all the scum who threaten Lilith. Lilith's eyes were tightly shut, a satisfied smile on her lips. Starting today, I have a week off. Lilith shot up, her eyes wide open. She threw her hands high above her head, cheering with abandon. The leaf ball chirped along excitedly. This is great. I finally don't have to attend those boring mortal gatherings. My efforts weren't in vain. The Duke and Duchess of Caravado are safe. The Empress ordered all the flamina to be removed without a trace. The leaf ball let out a cheerful cry. Didi, that's wonderful. The maid looked at Lilith, her eyes gentle. The leaf ball must really like you. Lilith pulled the blanket tighter. You think so too? I'm sure I left him with the world tree. Lilith looked at the little thing beside her. How on earth did he follow me here? Could it be that he really flew all this way just to see me? The leaf ball chirped happily. Didi, the maid stood by the bed and suggested. Always calling him leaf ball is a bit strange. Why don't we give him a name? Lilith was silent. What should I call him? Something simple and easy to remember will do. She looked at the maid. Do you have any suggestions? The maid bowed her head. Since he's a leaf ball, why don't we make his first name Leaf and his last name Ball? How about we call him Mr. Ball? Lilith stared at her blankly. Get out. The maid immediately bowed and retreated. Yes, milady. Lilith closed her eyes. She fell into deep thought. Why do you like me so much? Lilith looked down at the leaf ball, asking softly, what do you want me to do for you? Why you keep staying by my side? I can't give you any love. I don't know how to love, and I've never been loved. Not in the past, and not now. Lilith laughed self-deprecatingly. Oh my God, I'm actually saying all this to a little sprout. She collected herself. All right, I should still give you a name. The leaf ball chirped happily. BBI. An idea struck Lilith. I've got it. Since you're always chirping BBI BBI, how about we name you BB? The leaf ball's head drooped. He looked aggrieved. Lilith asked helplessly, you don't like it? Then would you prefer Mr. Leaf Ball? BB immediately shook his head vigorously. BB. BBI BBI. BBI BBI. A brilliant smile spread across Lilith's face. I knew you'd like BB. The banquet hall was magnificent, with guests dancing gracefully. Kairos stood beside Edina, smiling. This year's Florian Festival is particularly exquisite. As the Empress's first time hosting, you must have put in a lot of effort. Well done, Edina. Edina's tone was flat. No, this is all thanks to Miss Lilith. Kairos raised an eyebrow slightly. Miss Lilith? Edna turned her head, her expression complex. If it weren't for her, I don't know what would have happened. Just thinking about it sends a chill down my spine. Kairos's gaze deepened. It seems we owe her a great debt. They stopped walking. Oh, Kairos's gaze swept across the crowd. I see Duke Noella. He hasn't attended any social events since his wife passed away. What is he doing here? You must be looking for someone. Edna looked up. Duke Noella. The Duke bowed deeply. Greetings to you, Moon of the Empire. Are you well? Edna bowed her head slightly. Thanks to you. All is well. The Duke straightened up. Congratulations on successfully hosting the Florian Festival. The wisteria decorations here are especially beautiful. A slight curve appeared on Edna's lips. The wisteria was Miss Lilith's idea. She helped me a great deal with this year's festival. Duke Noella's tone was flat. As a member of the Noella family, it is only natural to assist the royal family. Edna remained silent, just looking at him coldly. It was well known that Duke Noella was cold to his daughter, but no one knew the exact reason. Edna continued. To be honest, when I first had Lilith come to the palace to care for the World Tree, I didn't have high expectations. However, to protect the World Tree, she was willing to bear the accusation of poisoning a divine being, personally caring for it day and night. Edna's gaze softened, and a smile appeared on her lips. When I had her inspect the banquet flowers beforehand, she once again proved her dedication. Such a petite girl, yet she acted with such determination and decisiveness. Edna continued. She firmly defended her position. She is a woman with self-respect. That self-respect stems from her confidence in her professional knowledge and the skills she has honed on her own. Duke Noella listened quietly. Most importantly, she has an unshakable pride in upholding her responsibilities as a high noble in her dignity. The Duke's eyes flickered. Edna's gaze fell upon the Duke. I don't usually say this much to people, but this is a special case. After all, we will soon be family. Even to the point where she was willing to sacrifice her own health. The Duke looked up abruptly, a look of shock on his face. Edna's tone shifted. She ended up developing symptoms of breathing difficulty. But you don't need to worry too much. The court physician is taking care of her. She is currently resting. Duke Noella was silent. A playful smile lingered on Edna's lips. Are you worried about her? She took a step forward. Duke Noella looked away. No, night fell. Lilith lay in bed. She had slept all day and now couldn't fall asleep. Squeak. The door was pushed open gently. Lilith stepped onto the balcony. Wow. She gazed at the brightly lit palace in the distance. So beautiful. She leaned against the railing, the flickering lights of the banquet, the faint music carried on the wind. Enjoying this beautiful scenery all by myself. What a shame. How long are you going to leave me alone? Why? Did I suddenly think of that tyrannical world tree? Lilith leaned on the railing, her eyes slightly closed. Without me, he's probably doing just fine. But that day when I said I had to leave early, his voice sounded a little disappointed. It's not like I'm worried the world tree will be lonely. This is all for the sake of my grand plan to break the engagement. Melodious music drifted from the brightly lit palace in the distance. Is that the banquet? Everyone looks so happy. A long time ago, sunlight filtered through the dense leaves, casting dappled shadows. Children played under the giant tree, running and laughing. A girl carefully tied a red ribbon onto a thick branch. The wishing ribbon fluttered in the wind, carrying a childhood dream. Why are you keeping me trapped here? Not letting anyone come see me. I'm so bored. This is for your own good. I must protect you from all the threats of the world. Because I'm special? Yes, you are very special. I am the greatest being in the world. What are those lowly humans talking about? I couldn't care less. I'm not lonely at all. Not one bit. The branches drooped listlessly. Still, I wonder how that human is doing. Jeffrey was in tears, his hands clasped together. I beg you, please help Miss Lilith get well. That Knight Commander is too terrifying. I could lose my life at any moment. Please, let Miss Lilith wake up healthy. He felt his knees kowtowing deeply. There have been an unusual number of humans making wishes these past 2 days. The world tree's branches intertwined, as if lost in thought. She said she would be back tomorrow. Humans really can't be trusted. Is she sick? Why did she faint? Why don't I go see for myself? A shooting star streaked across the night sky. The world tree's branches shook violently. Wait, what am I thinking? I'm the great world tree. Whether that insignificant human lives or dies is none of my concern. The leaves and branches began to sway wildly again. I don't care. A hand gently rested on the trunk. Lilith looked up at the canopy. You're not asleep? The world tree's voice echoed in the night sky. What? What the hell? What's it to you? The world tree hastily retracted its branches. She didn't hear that, did she? Lilith lowered her eyes. I came all this way because I was worried about you. But now I see. You're right. She turned to leave. Sorry to bother you. I'll be on my way. A branch gently rested on her cloak, blocking her path. Wait, the world tree's voice said with a hint of urgency. I don't want to be alone. I heard you were sick. Lilith raised an eyebrow. Who told you that? The world tree's branches trembled violently, nearly shedding their leaves. Oh no, the knights sometimes sneak in to make wishes to me. If word of this gets out, no one will be able to visit me anymore. The world tree's voice became firm. I'm a great world tree. Of course I would know something like that. Lilith looked at the world tree, who was pretending to be calm. What is it hiding? She sat down gently, leaning against the trunk. If you don't want to answer, it's okay. Everyone has secrets they don't want to share. I suppose trees do too. I don't know what you've been through, but you must have your reasons for not wanting to get close to people. The world tree's voice carried a hint of arrogance. What would a human like you know? Lilith smiled faintly. You're right. If I jump to conclusions, then I take back what I just said. The world tree fell silent. A lone leaf on a branch swayed in the night wind. Lilith averted her gaze. The view here is beautiful. The world tree's voice spoke again. Why aren't you at the banquet? Lilith leaned against the trunk. I don't like crowded places. It's better here. The world tree pressed on. Why don't you like crowded places? Lilith lowered her eyes. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've never had anyone by my side. Lilith's eyes dimmed. Even my father refused to love me, simply because my mother died the day I was born. No servant would respect a child despised by the head of the house. A young Lilith stood alone in the grand hall, surrounded by silent stares. Then I was treated like a commodity, forced into a loveless marriage, blamed for crimes I didn't commit, and finally killed by someone else's hand. Lilith's gaze sharpened. Even after I broke off the engagement, entered the academy, and tried to become a horticulturist, trying to change my fate, it seems nothing has changed. People like Adrian or Edna just need my knowledge. You see, I'm used to being alone too. The world tree's branches trembled slightly. The starlit night twinkled. Lilith lowered her eyelids. I'm used to it too. But sometimes I think. She looked up at the starry sky. How wonderful it would be if I could share this beautiful view with someone. That's why I came here. Lilith lowered her gaze, silent. A branch with new leaves gently touched her forehead. She looked up. Are you comforting me? The branch recoiled slightly. A flash of surprise crossed her eyes. What? The world tree's voice came. My name is Yggdrasil, but you can call me YGG. Lilith looked up at the shimmering green leaves and broke into a long-lost smile. Are we friends now? The world tree was silent. To commemorate our friendship, can you plant some flowers for me? No. Sunlight pierced through the leaves, dappling the academy's magnificent buildings. Lilith walked alone on a forest path. That damn world tree. Rainwater, rainwater. All it ever asks for is rainwater, Lilith grumbled indignantly. I thought we were friends, but it's still ordering me around like crazy. She sighed deeply. I know everyone is busy building the greenhouse, but I still hope they can hurry up and finish the rainwater collection facility. Lilith looked up at the sky. It feels like it's about to rain. Looks like I'll have to find Sir Geoffrey and hurry them along. She started walking, but a figure blocked her path. Adrian stood before her. Adrian looked up, the sunlight falling on him. Lilith's eyes widened in astonishment. Adrian's figure was enveloped in a halo of light. He gazed at her gently. Lily, his voice cut through the light. Adrian smiled and walked toward her. Lilith looked confused. Adrian, what are you doing here? Adrian stopped in front of her. I could ask you the same thing. It's so early. You should be resting more. Lilith faltered. I was on my way to see Sir Geoffrey. Adrian's smile froze instantly. He lowered his head. Why? You want to see him again? Lilith explained, I wanted to ask him for a favor. Adrian's tone was insistent. You can ask me for help. Lilith hesitated, but you must be busy right now, with the Florian festival going on. Adrian beamed. No, I'm very free. I have all the time in the world. Lilith began hesitantly. Well, there's something I'd like to ask you. Raindrops started to fall, wetting the green leaves of the forest. The downpour was sudden and torrential. It's raining so suddenly. We need to find a nearby pavilion to take shelter. He took off his own cloak, draped it over Lilith, and pulled her into his arms. Let's go, Lily. His voice rang out in the rain. Rain hammered against the pavilion. The two of them stopped, panting. Adrian looked at Lilith. Are you all right, Lily? You're completely soaked. Adrian took out a handkerchief and gently wiped the raindrops from her cheeks. He leaned down. Let me dry you off. A drop of water trickled from her soaked collar. Adrian's gaze froze, and a blush crept up his cheeks. Oh my God. Adrian turned away abruptly. Lilith was puzzled. What's wrong? Adrian stammered in his reply. In nothing. Lilith took a step closer. Your face is so hot. Adrian's body stiffened. Lilith asked worriedly, is it because of the rain? Adrian took a sharp step back. No, it's not. His heart was pounding, seeing her this close. She's like a sugar plum fairy, but I need her to stay away from me right now. Adrian forced himself to be calm. By the way, Lily, I heard you suggested using wisteria to replace the flamina. Lilith was a little surprised. Oh, rain pattered against the glass, a continuous sound coming from the greenhouse. Adrian sat on a bench with Lilith beside him. The head of the Royal Procurement Department told me it was you who proposed using wisteria and even provided a channel for quick procurement. Lilith lowered her eyelids. I wanted to keep it a secret. I didn't expect the news to travel so fast. Adrian turned to her. Why keep a secret? The festival was able to open smoothly all thanks to you. Lilith replied in a low voice. That's exactly why. She looked down at her hands. I thought, if those involved in the Flamina incident wanted to atone and avoid being dismissed, they should at least take this much responsibility. Adrian's cheeks flushed slightly. So, you wanted to give all the credit to those officials so they wouldn't be dismissed? Lilith lowered her gaze. Yes. Outside the greenhouse, the sound of rain murmured. She continued, I just happened to point out the problem with the Flamina. It's not right for innocent officials to be punished. I just wanted to save people, not make some lose their jobs. Adrian watched her quietly. She even gives her credit to others, just to let innocent people keep their jobs. We almost went to war with the Duchy of Caravaggio, and the person who stopped it all has been feeling guilty about it ever since. Adrian's gaze deepened. He lowered his head. How are you still the same as before? How are you always so kind, so compassionate? Lily, you're truly amazing. Adrian gazed at her. I think I've fallen in love with you all over again. Wow, I didn't expect him to say that. He's probably joking, right? The rain stopped. The sky cleared, and sunlight once again illuminated the land. The world tree's branches and leaves stretched out in the sunlight. Excellent. This is more like it. Lilith stood under the tree, with several empty water buckets beside her. Are you happy? See? You just need to apply some pressure. Lilith coughed lightly. It was the rain that got things done, not my pressure. A branch of the world tree reached out. Hey, are you sick? Lilith covered her mouth. I just got a little wet in the rain. It's just a small cough. I don't have a fever, and I'm not sick. The world tree's branches swayed gently. Lilith picked up a bucket. Well, I should get to work. Wait, the world tree stopped her. Lilith paused and looked back, puzzled. The world tree's leaves rustled. It's not like I'm worried about a mere human like you. The hem of Lilith's skirt moved as if stirred by a windless breeze. The world tree's voice sounded. I just want you to get treatment. Don't pass your cold on to me. A dazzling beam of light shot out from the trunk, instantly enveloping Lilith. A complex magic circle appeared at her feet. Lilith's eyes widened in astonishment. What's happening? Wait, the bright light swallowed everything, leaving only her final cry echoing through the forest. Lilith's pained figure. Her body was wrapped in light. Lilith fell onto an unfamiliar stone-paved road. She slowly opened her eyes. That stupid, bossy tree. Lilith screamed, clutching her head. This time, I'm really going to chop you into firewood. If it wanted to treat me, it should have sent me to the Imperial Palace. Lilith stormed down the street, breathing heavily. Why did it drop me in the middle of the capital? More importantly, what was with that portal? It used such high-level magic on me. How am I supposed to get back to the palace? Lilith was dejected, dragging her feet along the stone path. These are my work clothes from the studio. I look like a commoner, and I don't have anything to prove my identity. All right, I'll head to the main road first and see if I can catch a ride on a cargo carriage. As long as I can get to the Alkshed estate, someone will recognize me. And escort me back to the palace. Lilith walked onto the main street and was instantly stunned by the sight before her. The street was packed with people cheering and celebrating, throwing colorful confetti. A festive frenzy. You gotta be kidding me. Lilith suddenly remembered, right? During the Florian festival, the whole country celebrates the spring festival. She was pushed and shoved by the surging crowd, unable to move forward. Forget finding a carriage. I can't even walk. This won't do. I need to find a place to hide from the crowd first. Lilith sat alone in a corner, her chin in her hands, a worried look on her face. What bad luck. Looks like I'll just have to wait for the crowd to thin out a bit. Suddenly, a scream erupted from the crowd. A man in a black robe stood amidst the commotion, his hat pulled down low. He slowly raised his head, revealing a pair of bright red eyes. The gaze was chilling. What if he curses us? Filthy traitor. Lilith looked toward the sound and saw the crowd roaring at the man. How dare you come here? Get out. 1,000 years ago, the Lettons betrayed the empire's founder, Conrad, and tried to assassinate him. As punishment, the Lettons were cursed forever, their eyes turning blood red. Although the empire officially recognized them as citizens, the faces of the people were filled with fear and disgust. They surrounded the black-robed man, their jeers rising and falling. The public's ostracism of the Lettons was deeply rooted. They also became targets of revenge for those who had lost loved ones to the shadows. Lilith's gaze was grave, but the shadows are only a small fraction of them. Most Lettons are innocent citizens. A man spat at the black-robed figure. Get lost. Don't ruin our festival. Lilith watched the man. He silently endured all the insults, not saying a word. Or perhaps he was simply powerless to retort. The black-robed man's body swayed. He looked very unwell. Lilith sighed and slowly stood up. I really don't want to get involved, but I'll feel terrible if I ignore someone who's clearly unwell. Lilith walked to a street stall, her tone polite. Excuse me, I'm very thirsty. Could I have a cup of water? He violently coughed up a mouthful of blood, which splattered on the ground. He felt his knees, gasping for air, his body curling up in pain. The man under the black robe gritted his teeth. Damn it, my body. He staggered into an alley. His steps were unsteady. Lilith quickly followed. Suddenly, the man turned, drew his sword in a flash, and pointed it at her throat. Lilith shouted in terror, "Calm down. I'm not here to hurt you." The black-robed man panted heavily, his crimson eyes full of vigilance. Lilith looked at him, her tone as calm as possible. Can you put the sword away first? He's terrifying. Maybe I shouldn't have followed him at all. The black-robed man remained silent, just staring intently at her. His body swayed, and finally, unable to stand, he fell forward. Lilith instinctively reached out to catch him. Whoa, are you okay? As Lilith supported him, the man's had slipped off, revealing a head of long, black hair. Lilith's heart skipped a beat. Red eyes, pale skin, and an impeccably handsome face. Isn't this exactly how Raven was described in the novel? She shook her head violently. No, impossible. The leader of the shadows, the Empire's most wanted criminal. How could he appear in the middle of the capital in broad daylight? Besides, all Lettons have red eyes and pale skin. I shouldn't be prejudiced. I can't assume he's a member of the Shadows just because he's a Letton. She gathered her courage and stepped forward. You look very unwell. The man suddenly grabbed her wrist with surprising strength. You, he growled, his crimson gaze locked on her. Do you know how to use mana? Lilith's pupils contracted. He's terrifying. Something's wrong with this guy. He was dying just a moment ago, but now he's completely fine. Did he trick me? Is he a pervert? And what's this about mana? There's only one explanation. That's it. Hey, answer me. Lilith shoved him away. She turned and grabbed a shovel from the ground. She swung at the man. You liar, pervert. The shovel whistled through the air and struck the man's head with a dull thud. Lilith's heart leaped. Now's my chance. Run. The man was completely unharmed. Lilith trembled all over. Why is he completely fine? I'm done for. The man lowered his head in silence, a flicker of emotion in his red eyes. He looked up at Lilith. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm sorry. Lilith was taken aback. Wait, isn't he a pervert? I'm also sorry for hitting you when you were sick. Here, I was actually following you to give you this. I didn't have any. I could only think of getting you some water. The man took the water flask. Thank you. Lilith coughed lightly. Don't worry, it's just water. Is it because I'm nervous? I'm coughing again. The black-haired man let go and handed her a handkerchief. Thank you. The man said in a low voice. Can we meet again? Do we have a reason to meet again? There will be a reason. The man turned and left. He strode away and disappeared around the corner. Lilith watched him go, her eyes full of confusion. Lilith stood rooted to the spot. He's gone. Where'd he go? The street was noisy. Lilith leaned against a wall, her gaze searching the crowd. A voice cut through the clamor. Lilith! Adrian pushed through the crowd. He walked quickly toward her. Adrian! He rushed to Lilith's side, anxiously looking her up and down. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Lilith shook her head. I'm Fina. How did you know I was here? Adrian explained. I received a report that someone looking like you fell out of a portal. I tracked the portal's mana and confirmed you landed somewhere around here. But that's all I could find out. He lowered his head, his eyes full of apology. I am sorry, Lilith. It took me so long to find you. Lilith covered her mouth with the handkerchief and coughed. I was just a little surprised. It's okay. Adrian's gaze sharpened. Lilith, what is that? Lilith held up the handkerchief in her hand. Oh, this? I was coughing earlier, and a passerby gave it to me. Adrian pressed. Was a young man? Yes. Was he handsome? I think so. Did he bother you? Or say he wanted to see you again? Lilith was startled. How do you know everything? That's spot on. Adrian snatched the handkerchief from Lilith's hand. Throw it away. Use this one, Lily. It might be dirty. Lilith tried to protest, but it doesn't look dirty. Adrian's tone was firm. Actually, I'm sure it's contaminated with germs. Lilith had to give in. All right, Adrian is really sensitive about health and hygiene. Adrian suggested gently. Shall we go back to the palace then? Lilith nodded. Okay, after that commotion earlier, I'm a bit tired. Adrian walked behind Lilith, his eyes instantly turning cold. A knight whispered behind him, Commander. Adrian's voice grew grim. Find him. Bring him to me. Yes, sir. Lilith was determined. Today, I'm burning that annoying tree to cinders. She held a campfire toolkit. I have to teach a lesson. Lilith stormed up the hill, but felt an unusual dampness under her feet. Wait, why is the ground so wet? Lilith stopped. A sobbing sound could be heard. Lilith looked at the world tree in astonishment. Are you crying? Damn it, you're alive. Of course I'm alive. Did you think I was dead? The tree's voice rang out. But the portal and the coordinates. Lilith narrowed her eyes. So you admit you were wrong? No way. Could it be that it was crying because it thought I was dead? A branch drooped down. Lilith crossed her arms. Hey, why aren't you talking? The branch swayed gently. Aren't you mad at me? Lilith was stunned. Did I hear that right? The world tree is actually apologizing to me? No, it's okay. You only did it because you were worried about my health. That right? Lilith forced a smile. Even though there was a little mishap, I came back safely, didn't I? Thank you for worrying about me. The tree's voice interrupted her. I am sorry. I am sorry. I haven't used my magic in so long. My control was poor. I didn't do it on purpose. She turned her face away, her cheeks slightly flushed. It's probably feeling insecure about its mistake. After all, it's an omnipotent being. Thinking about it that way, it seems like just a child. Lilith laughed at herself. Honestly, this tree has probably lived for thousands of years. She patted the trunk and sighed. I'm fine, so don't be too hard on yourself. You're much better suited to being an arrogant jerk. The tree's voice sounded again. Are you comforting me or mocking me? Of course I'm comforting you. Meanwhile, in a dark castle corridor, the black-haired man staggered forward. A voice called out, Leader, are you all right? The black-haired man managed to steady himself. I'm fine. The black-haired man sat on a throne, flanked by black-robed figures kneeling on one knee. Leader, they shouted in unison. We welcome the return of the King of Shadows. The black-haired man was expressionless, his blood-red eyes looking down on everything. The entire hall was bathed in an ominous red light. A black-robed man knelt on one knee. Leader, how are you feeling? Your mana reflux symptoms looked severe. The black-haired man's voice was low. I'm fine now. He slowly raised his hand and clenched it in the air. Once, I firmly believed my magic was unrivaled. He clenched his fist tightly. But that bastard named Adrian, he can wield sword ki, a power that only existed in theory. That's what makes him a sword master. In that moment, I realized I needed a power to counter sword ki. Even if it meant breaking a taboo, I wouldn't hesitate. If it was for the sake of avenging the Lettons, I would make the same choice 1,000 times over. The black-haired man's eyes were cold. However, after that girl touched me, my mana reflux stopped. Ever since I dabbled in black magic, I've endured endless, excruciating pain. But that pain is gone now. The black-haired man lowered his head and thought, who is that girl? Even though it's the festival, she looked like she just got off work. She seemed to be in poor health, coughing constantly. But for some reason, I couldn't take my eyes off her. The black-haired man shuddered. Enough. Stop thinking about these useless things. He sat up straight again, looking down at the black-robed figures below the throne. How is the plan progressing? Meanwhile, Lilith had fallen asleep quietly, leaning against the world tree. The tree's incarnation appeared silently. He gazed at the sleeping Lilith. He slowly reached out a hand, wanting to touch her. He froze abruptly. Adrian's figure appeared in the distance, walking this way. Adrian walked up to the world tree. He gazed at the sleeping Lilith. Lilith, are you asleep? You'll catch a cold sleeping here, he said softly, reaching out to brush her cheek. Lilith hummed softly in her sleep. Adrian leaned down. Pardon me. He gently scooped Lilith up into his arms. I never thought Adrian had this side to him. Before Lilith appeared, he was always so cold. Now he looks so happy. Perhaps Lilith isn't just someone I need. Adrian needs her too. As the commander of the knights who guard the world tree, Adrian can't leave the capital. So if they were to marry, everyone is happy. The branches clenched tightly. I'll be the Cupid. They should feel honored. A lucky red glow appeared on the trunk of the world tree. Adrian carried Lilith as they walked further and further away. The last day of the spring festival. The imperial palace was bathed in golden light under the setting sun. A maid finished arranging Lilith's makeup. Miss Lanuela, everything is ready. Lilith looked at herself in the mirror. A gorgeous gown. Isn't this a bit too extravagant? The maid answered respectfully. This is a gift from Her Majesty the Empress. You must wear it. Lilith sighed helplessly. Although I chose it myself. 2 days ago, the Empress sent a gift. Lilith unfolded the letter. Her gaze fell upon the paper. The letter said that if I didn't like it, I could use it as a cleaning rag, especially that dazzling gown. Lilith's gaze shifted to the side. 2 luxurious gowns were displayed there. One deep red, one cream white. She lowered her head. Do I really have to go to the banquet dressed so ostentatiously? I just want to stay in my room. But this was the last and most important day of the festival. Members of the 4 great ducal houses. Unexcused absences were absolutely not permitted. A knock sounded at the door. Adrian's voice came from outside. Lily, may I come in? Adrian pushed the door open. His gaze fell upon Lilith. She stood in the center of the room in the gorgeous gown. Light seemed to flow around her. Lilith looked back. The ornaments in her hair shimmered faintly. Adrian's gaze froze. He watched her quietly, as if time had stopped. Adrian's cheeks flushed slightly. Lily, this gown. Lilith looked down at her skirt. Oh, this. It's a gift from Her Majesty the Empress. Adrian's gaze softened. It suits you perfectly. You look beautiful today. Lilith's cheeks also flushed red. Thank you. Adrian took a box from his coat. I prepared a gift as well. He handed the box to Lilith. She took it with a puzzled look. What's this? The box opened. Inside was an exquisite necklace, shimmering with a soft light. Lilith gasped softly. It's a lily of the valley necklace. Adrian looked at her. It doesn't have any special meaning. I just realized that as your fiancé, I've never given you a proper gift. Lilith responded softly. Thank you. I'll wear it tonight. Adrian leaned closer. If you don't mind, may I put on for you? Of course. That would be wonderful. Lilith turned around, her back to him. The cool touch of the necklace landed on the back of her neck. She shivered slightly. Adrian gazed at the nape of her neck. So fair, so precious. He fastened the necklace for her, his gaze gentle and focused. Adrian looked at Lilith. She was breathtakingly beautiful. What a coincidence. Adrian asked with a puzzled look. What do you mean? Lily, this gown also has Lily of the Valley embroidery. You and the Empress are truly siblings. Your tastes are so similar. His expression became dazed for a moment. A scene flashed through his mind. It was his conversation with the Empress in the study. Give this to Lilith. Just say it's a gift from you. The Empress was puzzled. Why don't you give it to her yourself? I want to give her a gift, but a gown might be too extravagant. After all, we're not married yet. The Empress scoffed disdainfully. You have no taste. Wouldn't Lilith look better in red? Adrian. No, you're just obsessed with red. Lilith looked at Adrian. Ade, what are you smiling about? Adrian's smile was gentle and doting. I just remembered something interesting. Oh, it's getting late. We should hurry. All right, Lily. The banquet hall was magnificent and brilliant. Guests thronged the hall, a sea of elegant attire and coiffures. Lilith held Adrian's arm, swallowing nervously. How long has it been since I attended a formal banquet? Maybe not since I was 8. Adrian turned his head, a smile in his eyes. The banquet hall is beautifully decorated. It's a testament to your taste, Lilith. Lilith forced a smile. Oh, huh. The master of ceremonies' loud voice rang out. His Grace, Duke Adrian de Alkshed, and Miss Lilith Lanoella have arrived. Lilith and Adrian appeared at the top of the grand staircase. The guests turned to look, whispering. Lanoella, is she the one I'm thinking of? That's right, the young lady beside Duke Alkshed. This is her first time attending an event like this. I heard she was so ill she couldn't even get out of bed. Didn't they cancel their engagement? The rumor was that she was too ugly to show her face in high society. But she's completely different from the rumors. She looks rather plain. At least she put a lot of effort in her makeup. Standing next to the handsome Duke Alkshed, she seems rather lackluster. Hearing these comments, Lilith gave a faint smile. I grew up hearing worse things than this. These words can't hurt me at all. Adrian's expression darkened. He leaned down to her ear. Lilith, if you're uncomfortable, we can leave now. I'll take care of the rest. Lilith looked up, her eyes clear. I'm Fine. I don't mind these things. It's taken me so long to make my first official appearance. It's only natural that people would spread such rumors. With a crisp snap of a fan, a figure approached. Duke Alkshed, you finally arrived. She walked over with a smile. I haven't seen you these past few days. I was quite worried. Lilith watched her. That's right. She did appear around this time in the novel. Chlue la Venera. In the novel, she was Adrian's lover. The Venera family, while not one of the 4 great dukes, is still prominent and powerful. Chloe has a firm position in high society, but she always held a strong sense of inferiority towards Lilith. Chloe ignored Lilith and reached out to Adrian. Oh my, your cravat is crooked. Allow me. Adrian's voice was ice cold. Don't touch me. Lilith watched this scene, her heart tightening. The Chloe in the novel was just like this, shamelessly flirting with Adrian and bullying Lilith with her friends. Just like now. Whenever this happened, Lilith would be deeply hurt. Chloe turned to Lilith, a provocative smile on her face. This will only get her laughed at. Wouldn't you agree, Miss Lilith? My goal is to break the engagement. Her causing a scene like this actually helps me. Lilith responded calmly. Yes, you're right. Chloe chuckled. I knew you'd agree. She can't even fix her own fiancé's clothes. She's not qualified to be your fiancé at all. She'll only bring you ridicule. She reached out again. Adrian sharply slapped her hand away. The action was decisive. Chloe's smile froze on her face. She stared at him in shock and disgust. Adrian adjusted his own cravat. His tone was icy. I'm sure I told you not to touch me. My cravat is perfectly fine. It was tied for me by my fiancée, Lilith. Chloe's face instantly turned red, a mixture of shame and anger. She gritted her teeth, turned, and left in a huff. Oh, then I apologize. She disappeared into the crowd with heavy steps. Lilith watched her back. This is different from what I expected. Adrian leaned close to Lilith. Lilith, do you want to rest for a bit? I can take you somewhere quiet. Lilith looked up, but the banquet has just started. But a booming voice interrupted her. Yo, isn't this the hero of the empire, Duke Alkshed? A man in magnificent clothes approached. Grand Duke Canardo. Let's skip the pleasantries and have a good chat. I have many questions for the great swordmaster. Adrian's fingers tightened. He gripped Lilith's hand tightly. Lilith gently pulled her hand away. I'm Fine. You two go talk. We can dance later. I'm going to get some rest. Lilith turned and walked alone to the side of the banquet hall. We've only just achieved some stability. I can't make the Grand Duke wait because of me. In the night garden, the fountain murmured. Fireflies danced about. Lilith stood there alone. Huh, it's so quiet here. I can finally catch my breath. I was bedridden in Florian and couldn't observe things properly. But tonight's banquet made me realize. The story has already deviated from the original. Grand Duke Canardo is in good health. We no longer need to worry about a sudden war. Everyone is enjoying the banquet. Perhaps I can really change my fate and retire early to enjoy my golden years. Lilith clenched her fists, her eyes shining. I'm one step closer to a plain and boring life. Slap. A crisp slap. An angry voice rang out. You useless thing. Lilith jumped in surprise. Lilith peeked out quietly. Is someone arguing? A man was roaring at Chloe. You can't even seduce a single man. This was our only chance to build a relationship with the Alkshed family. Chloe retorted angrily. Everything was going smoothly, really. But that damn fiancé showed up again. Lilith understood. So they're talking about me. The man raised his hand. Shut your mouth. Do you think I had you dress up like this just to be publicly humiliated? Chloe took a terrified step back. The man stopped his hand, but his eyes remained fierce. Lilith thought, no matter what, it's always wrong to hit a woman in the face. I know I shouldn't meddle, but the man clicked his tongue impatiently. We're being too loud. He narrowed his eyes impatiently, his cold gaze falling on Chloe. Don't disappoint me again. Don't be outdone by a woman abandoned by her family. In the end, you'll be the winner anyway. Chloe lowered her eyes, the red mark still on her cheek. Yes, Father. The man turned and left, leaving Chloe standing alone in the night. Lilith hid behind the bushes. I have to leave quietly. I can't be discovered. No one wants to be seen in such a state. Just as Lilith was about to turn, a cold voice sounded behind her. Do you find me pathetic, Miss Lilith? Lilith's body stiffened. Chloe had somehow appeared silently behind her. Lilith's heart sank. Crap, she found me. Chloe's lips curled, her eyes sharp. Were you hiding here just to laugh at me? Lilith quickly shook her head. No, that's not it. She stepped out from the bushes. You're so hypocritical. Be honest. Chloe suddenly closed in. Lilith subconsciously took a step back. She had a twisted smile on her face. You must think I'm pathetic. Running away from home to enter the academy, to study a commoner's major like horticulture. You've always done whatever you want. And me? I have to scheme and struggle just to get what you have so easily. So you must think I'm pathetic. Lilith lowered her eyes. Easily have. I didn't want to die. I fought with all my might just to escape a lonely and miserable life. Lilith raised her eyes to look directly at her. Why are you looking at me like that? Are you pitying me? Chloe's face twisted into a snarl. You, a woman who can't even produce an heir. I'm much better than you, because you'll soon be abandoned by the Duke. Lilith stood quietly, letting the other's vicious words pass through her. Chloe grew more agitated. Why aren't you saying anything? Why don't you talk back? Lilith raised her eyes, her gaze calm and clear. Because the person in the most difficult situation right now is you. Chloe was stunned. What nonsense are you talking about? Lilith took out a handkerchief. It will leave a bruise on your beautiful face. Chloe looked at the handkerchief, her cheeks stinging. She clenched her jaw, letting out a pained sound. Lilith asked softly, doesn't it hurt? Chloe's face was filled with humiliation and anger. You think you found my weakness just because you saw my father hit me? He hits me because he loves me. Someone like you, abandoned by your father, would never understand. Chloe pointed to her magnificent gown. Do you know how much this dress costs? All this jewelry was made by the best artisans in the capital. Now do you see how much my father dotes on me? I don't need your stupid sympathy, understand? Lilith's gaze was firm. Yes, I understand. So please don't cry. She was once the star of the banquet, wearing a gown more splendid than the Empress's. Chloe's face was streaked with tears, sobbing. All her meticulous preparations were just to seduce Adrian. Even if it meant attracting hostility, even if her reputation was ruined, she didn't care. As the center of high society, it's impossible for Chloe to be unaware of this. Chloe reached out and slapped Lilith's hand away. Don't pretend to care about me. Chloe covered her face with a handkerchief, tears streaming out uncontrollably. You just want to drive me away from Adrian, don't you? Quite the opposite. As long as Adrian's next fiancé is decided, it will be easier for you to break off the engagement. Besides, you remind me of the original Lilith, the girl who did everything she could just to gain her father's approval. Chloe cried out, why aren't you saying anything? She gasped for breath, her face stained with tears. You think I'm pathetic, right? Lily, she looked at her quietly. Do you feel better now? Chloe was stunned. What? Lilith lowered her eyes. Sometimes, when your heart is full of anger, you need to shout it out. Chloe looked up, her eyes full of disdain. What would someone like you, who does whatever she wants, understand? You don't have to be trapped in this dreadful high society. You can study to your heart's content at the academy. Are you jealous that I can go to the academy? What a foolish question. Who wouldn't be jealous of someone who can study freely? Lilith froze slightly. No one has ever envied my time at the academy. They only ever mocked me, calling me strange. Chloe's cheeks flushed. She bit her lip. So, you also wanted to study at the academy. Chloe spun around abruptly. Don't get the wrong idea. Lilith watched her back and said softly, I hope you can live for yourself, not for your father. After all, this is your life. You only get one chance. It shouldn't be wasted on someone else's wishes. Chloe remained silent, not responding. Lilith's eyes dimmed. I've said too much. Chloe suddenly exploded. You're so annoying. Lilith was startled by her. Chloe turned. I can't stand you anymore. I'm going back. Lilith's heart tightened. I knew I overstepped. Chloe took a few steps, then stopped. Why are you still standing there? Aren't you coming in? A flash of surprise appeared in Lilith's eyes. Do you want to go back together? Chloe spoke awkwardly. Of course. You can stay here by yourself if you want. She's actually quite cute. Lilith answered softly. It won't do you any good to be seen with me. You know my reputation, right? Chloe's cheeks flushed. She muttered under her breath. You're such a weirdo. She spun around abruptly. Then stay here. I'm leaving. Lilith watched her departing back, silently bidding her farewell. Take care. Lilith looked around. Where is Adrian? His conversation with the Grand Duke should have ended long ago. A strange man approached. Hello, miss. I am Lloyd of the Vallinger family. He politely extended his hand. If it's not too bold of me, may I have the honor of the first dance? Lilith looked troubled. This. An ominous commotion arose from the crowd. The men started to argue. Me first. No, meh. I was here first. Lilith was surrounded, caught in a chaotic mess. Lilith panicked. What's happening? Why are they acting like this? If Miss Lilith breaks her engagement with Adrian, I must take his place. As long as I take in the lost young lady of the Lanoella house, the Lanoella family will owe me a favor. And they all said she was ugly. I didn't expect her to be so cute. Not bad at all. Lilith bumped into a solid embrace. A hand firmly steadied her shoulder. A familiar voice called out, Lilith. She looked up. It was Adrian. Adrian's voice was deep and powerful. Long time no see, Marquis Vallinger. Lloyd froze. Duke Alkshed. The crowd instantly dispersed. Lloyd stumbled back in terror, his steps unsteady. Adrian's hand slid down gently, taking her hand. Lilith, let's go dance. Lilith turned. Wait a moment. I'll just say a word to the Marquis. Before she could finish, she realized the Marquis was long gone. Lilith looked confused. Adrian said with a smile. He must have had something urgent to attend to. The ballroom. The crystal chandeliers were dazzling. Lilith and Adrian, hand in hand, stepped into the center of the dance floor. She accidentally bumped into a guest and tilted backward. Adrian pulled her closer, his voice low. A little closer. Lilith looked up, her eyes full of confusion. What? Adrian's hand rested gently on her waist. Adrian's arm wrapped around Lilith, pulling her into his embrace. Her whole body was pressed against his chest. Lilith's cheeks instantly flushed red. Her heart skipped a beat. Adrian looked down, a smile playing on his lips. Just like this. His breath brushed against her cheek, making her feel dizzy. I was startled. Lilith looked up at him. This is the first time I've been this close to Adrian. The two spun on the dance floor, their steps elegant and harmonious. Adrian led Lilith in a turn, her skirt sweeping gracefully across the floor. He gazed at her. Lilith, do you like to dance? Lilith's cheeks were slightly red. My teacher said I'm not good at activities that require physical coordination. I'm trying my best right now to make sure I don't step on your feet. Adrian's gaze swept across the dance floor. But I heard that at the academy, many male students asked you to dance. Lilith lowered her eyes. I never attended any banquets back then. Her foot slipped, and she lost her balance, stumbling backward. Lilith cried out. Adrian's arm tensed, effortlessly lifting her into the air. The movement was light and steady. His hand slid to the small of her back, holding her firmly. Lilith's heel landed lightly on his polished leather shoe. Adrian asked with concern, Are you all right? Lilith looked up, her eyes flustered. Oh, wait, my heel will hurt you. Adrian held her tighter. It's fine. You're as light as a feather. I can't feel a thing when you step on my foot. Although this dress is probably much heavier than a feather. Don't worry, just lean on me. Lily, Adrian's voice was gentle. Don't be nervous. Lilith looked up, her heartbeat chaotic. She felt a strange sensation. Has Adrian's hand always been this warm? The two continued to spin, but Lilith didn't dare to meet his gaze. She could feel a burning gaze fixed on her. Upon the throne, Kairos was dressed in magnificent robes. An advisor beside him whispered in his ear, Kairos's gaze pierced through the crowd, locking tightly onto the center of the dance floor. A strange smile touched his lips, a white light glinting in his eyes. Lilith froze. Why is Kairos staring at me? Kairos, the Emperor of Selea, an extraordinary and wise ruler. He was famous for recruiting talented people, dedicating himself to the country and its people. Thus, he earned the nickname the Talent Collector, or rather, the master of working people to death. Look at the old man beside him, the most talented prime minister in the empire. Over 90 years old, his 101st resignation request was rejected. Lilith felt uneasy. Why are they all looking at me? Kairos's gaze cut through the dance floor, locking onto her. Bring her to me. Lilith felt a chill run through her, as if she'd fallen into an ice cave. If he captures me, I'll also become a slave worked to death. Quick, look. Grand Duke Canardo is tap dancing. Adrian looked bewildered. What? He looked down to find his arms empty. Lilith had taken the chance to break free and run. She rushed out of the ballroom and hid in a secluded corridor, panting heavily. That was close. I was almost poached by the Emperor. Lilith was still shaken. I'll have to apologize to Adrian later. And the Grand Duke, too. She let out a long breath, her eyes weary. Why are you here? Her eyes shot open. A tall figure blocked the light. Lilith looked up. A bearded man was looking down at her, his expression cold and forbidding. Father, it's been 6 years. It's been a full 6 years since I last saw my father. The last time was the day we signed the contract to dissolve the engagement. He looked down, his gaze sharp. I heard you've been back in the capital for some time. Why didn't you come home? As always, he skipped the pleasantries. Straight to the point. Lilith looked up. How did you know? He took a step closer, his tone leaving no room for argument. Do you think I couldn't find out? You've had your fun. Come home. A flicker of confusion passed through Lilith's eyes. Why? A member of the Lanoella family should not be making a public spectacle of themselves, creating needless gossip. Lilith lowered her eyes. I see. And here I thought he was worried. All he cares about is, and always has been, the family's reputation. Lilith clenched her hands, the fabric of her skirt twisting in her fingertips. Changing the subject. Why did you hide it? I'm referring to the cancellation of your engagement to Adrian being revoked. Her father stared directly at her. Her tone was calm. I didn't hide it. You simply never asked. She retorted, am I supposed to answer questions that no one has asked me? Lilith opened her mouth, but that was your daughter's marriage. You should have discussed it with me proactively, if only out of basic respect. But he wouldn't even spare that little bit of concern. What was I expecting? From my father. I'm already used to it. Just then, a voice called out. Lily. Adrian's figure appeared from behind the corridor. He walked briskly towards Lilith's father and bowed slightly. It's been a while, sir. The Duke responded with a blank expression. It's you. He reached out and gently tugged on Lilith's sleeve. Lilith isn't feeling well. We should be going. Lilith obediently replied, all right. The Duke's jaw tightened, his teeth clenched hard. The Duke stood alone in the corridor, watching his daughter's departing figure. Vanessa, our daughter has grown up. I failed to keep my promise to you, but she still grew up to be just like you. Not just her looks, but even that courage is exactly the same. She's practically your spitting image. The Duke mused to himself. I hope my decision is the right one. Footsteps sounded. The butler bowed and greeted your grace. We've confirmed young Master Bell's whereabouts. The Duke turned around. Where is he? The butler reported the young master is training under a waterfall in the eastern Gava Mountains. The Duke's eyebrow twitched. They're both my children. How can they be so different? Honestly, who does he take after? Drag him back. The butler bowed his head and accepted the order. Yes, your grace. Adrian took Lilith's hand. Lilith pouted slightly, her profile filled with reluctance. Of course, father wouldn't worry about me. For the past 6 years, he didn't even care if I lived or died. The moment he saw me, he ordered me to go home. Don't tarnish the family name. So harsh. There's nothing to be disappointed about. I never expected him to change. I know him too well, but he could have at least asked how I've been. What did I do so wrong? Lost in her thoughts, Lilith wasn't watching where she was going and walked straight into Adrian's back. Adrian stopped. Sorry. Lily, are you all right? Lilith looked up, covering her mouth, her eyes wide with surprise. Adrian pointed to a mansion. We're here. Let's go in. Lilith looked around. Where are we? She looked up, her gaze captured by the crest above the building. Wait, that crest! Lilith was suddenly startled. Are we at the Alkshed mansion? Adrian, turn around. Sorry for suddenly bringing you to my home. But in your state back then, it didn't seem right for you to stay at the banquet. His eyes were gentle. And to be honest, there's something I wanted to show you. I felt I had to show it to you today. Lilith looked at him, confused. Show me what? A steady voice rang out. "Welcome." Lilith looked towards the far end of the hall. A butler led a line of maids, standing solemnly as if awaiting the return of their monarch. The butler bowed slightly, his smile gentle. "We have been awaiting your arrival." "My lady." Lilith shuddered. "No, this can't be happening. I ran away from the Emperor to avoid becoming the Empire's slave, and now I'm trapped in Adrian's residence." Lilith stood beside Adrian, her gaze sweeping over the bowing servants. "Why are the servants so respectful to me? It's as if they're treating me as the lady of the house." She swallowed nervously, glancing sideways at Adrian. "Even if the engagement isn't legally binding, I am still Adrian's fiancée, after all. Adrian said he brought me back to his mansion because of my condition. He must have been worried I'd make a mistake at such an important event, right? That must be it." A brilliant light shone. A magnificent bedroom appeared before her, splendid and opulent, the height of luxury. Adrian spread his arms excitedly. "This is the place I wanted to show you, Lilith." Lilith's eyes widened in shock. She turned to look at him. "I had this bedroom decorated especially for you. Do you like it?" Lilith looked around. "Decorated especially for me?" Lilith's cheeks flushed slightly. "But after the engagement is broken, I won't need it." Her eyes widened. "What?" Lilith stood before an ornate door. "What's with this suspicious door?" The door slowly opened, revealing a room with a dark color scheme. Adrian smiled and explained, "Oh, that's my room. After we get married, I plan to tear down the wall and combine the two rooms into one." Lilith looked up. "Then why build this wall in the first place?" Adrian's tone changed. "Of course, that sort of thing probably won't happen. It's just in case you might need another place to stay." Adrian smiled gently. "I wanted to give you a place where you can rest at ease. This place is like my home, and it's your home too." Lilith's blue eyes widened slightly, her heart trembling. "This room wasn't prepared for me. It was prepared for Adrian's future wife. He's only doing this for the sake of his family, just like always." But despite that, a blush spread across Lilith's cheeks. "My home is here." Adrian turned and pointed into the distance. "Want to go take a look over there?" A man who looked like a butler bowed and entered. "Your Grace," the man reported in a low voice. His expression turned cold and dangerous. Adrian cleared his throat. "Sorry, Lily. I have some business to take care of downstairs. I'll be right back." Lilith looked at him quizzically. "What is it?" Adrian's eyes darted away. "Oh, it's nothing important. The house has a bit of a rat problem. It's late. You should stay here tonight." "Lily." Adrian stepped into the basement. Shadows shrouded his face. The iron door creaked. A bound man knelt on the floor, the muscles in his back tense with pain. Adrian's golden eyes glinted in the darkness. He coldly lifted his chin and ordered, "Wake him up." The week-long spring festival came to a successful conclusion. Unlike the original story, the residents of Canillo were unharmed. Therefore, the conflict over the northern route was also resolved peacefully. Lilith closed her eyes, a relieved smile on her face. She had successfully taken the first step in changing her fate. "I returned to my old life. A life of running errands for the world tree." Lilith walked heavily across the grass, carrying tools and a watering can. A voice came from the tree. "No, too low. Higher, higher." Lilith stood under the tree, struggling to reach on her tiptoes. "Here?" The voice grew irritated. "You can't reach it at all. So frustrating. Go get Adrian and try again." Lilith looked helpless. "Do you know how many times I've called for Adrian these past few days? He's busy enough as it is. I'll just go get a ladder." The branches shook violently. "No, no. Go get Adrian quickly." Adrian's smile was radiant, sunlight spilling over his silver hair. Lilith stood under the tree. "Sorry to always trouble you." Adrian smiled in response. "It's all right, Lily. You can call me anytime. What do you need help with today?" Lilith pointed to a high spot on the trunk. "I need to get that piece of disease bark off, but I can't reach it. If I leave it, it will damage that layer." Adrian looked up. "Is indeed too high. I'll handle it." But Lilith suddenly tripped on a root, losing her balance. She let out a cry and fell forward. Adrian quickly turned and caught her in his arms. "Lily." The branches waved excitedly. "Perfect. A perfect cleaning." Adrian held her by the shoulders. "Are you hurt? Then I'll get to work." Adrian leaped lightly onto a branch. "Lily, does this part need to be treated too?" Lilith looked up at him. "Yes, please." A voice came from among the branches. "How does it feel working with Adrian these past few days?" Lilith stood under the tree. "What do you mean?" The voice continued to press. Do you want to get married soon and settle in the capital? Or something like that. Lilith leaned against the trunk, her face full of disgust. Why would you say something so disgusting? I just want to go back to the south quickly. The branches shook wildly. Why? It's so nice here, just stay. Lilith looked helpless. What's wrong with this tree? It's been acting strange lately. Is it because of the magic? A hint of worry flashed in her blue eyes. Speaking of which, it's almost time for that moment. In the original novel, more than half of the world tree's root system rotted because of the shadows. If I can't find a way to support its magic against the shadows' corruption, everything will go back to the original plot's track. This won't just affect the world tree, but all living things on this land. The majestic imperial palace stood in the afterglow of the sunset. Meanwhile, inside a study in the heart of the empire, Your Majesty, Emperor Kairos leaned forward, his eyes gloomy.